God is me. How does that sound? And I got a brand new microphone, so if it sounds bad, somebody text me and say, hey, what do you, because I've got all sorts of adjustments on it. How's that? That's a little better, isn't it? I got to take it down a little. There you go. That's better. All right, sorry. It takes a little while. Let's take a look at traffic and weather and all that stuff. And then we'll talk about some of the stuff going on in the world. A 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Barman, I-65, they're all moving along pretty well. And in terms of the weather, man, it just says it's going to rain, and then it just kind of does for a very short time, and then it's just beautiful out. Cloudy, warm, and humid. Maybe a thunderstorm this afternoon, but you got that warm day again. Right now it's already 64 degrees. It's kind of humid, and it already feels kind of warm outside. But it goes up to, say, 81 right about 3 o'clock this afternoon, so it'll kind of steadily move up. Then it'll steadily move down. A much cooler day tomorrow, mostly cloudy, not as warm, passing shower to and a high of 69. Thursday, sun and clouds, high of 71. Sunny and beautiful on Friday and a high of 75 degrees. And in terms of what games we're doing this weekend, I know that you are wondering, and I am too, so I will talk about it. We have a whole bunch of games before the weekend, but like a morashmiri firi pa 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 da maranana. All right, so I don't have the, let's see, I would need the productions spreadsheet, I guess. Let me see if that's it, huh? No. All right, well, I don't know how to look it up even in my own JED TV Sports Network of what is coming up. So let me see. Check tabs, fast channels, use of funds. So basically, I've kind of funded this along with another guy, this whole sports network we built over 5 years. Every time they needed to check, there's another guy and he's listening right now. He's like, what's the traffic like to Chicago? And, but anyways, we've just said, all right, you need some more money. Oh, we need some more money. Oh, we got to put some more in. And so eventually other people kind of look at us and say, hey, man, you know, this is pretty good stuff, and maybe you could do what we do at the sports network and do it in other areas. And we weren't really thinking about it like that, but there's enough people that are pushing us, including Mont and Chancellor Keon and Jason Williams here. And can we announce that well, I don't know. But I know I can announce that Sam and Peter are going to be gone for 3 days. That is mostly for our NCC network affiliates and for the Times that we're doing a little paper with them, the NCC paper. If you've seen it out, I think it came out this week for the very first time. And it's a little paper that highlights all of the schools in the NCC and then tells about what games we're going to be doing and that kind of thing. And it is a test. We did some tests where we tried to do it per school. That kind of didn't work. So the first one came out, let's see, was it last week or this week? I don't know. I guess we'll have one this week. Should come out tomorrow. And it is kind of doing it in conjunction with us as running the NCC network. So I say that Sam and Peter are going to be in Indy for 3 days. Mostly because all you folks in the NCC network that got, hey, Jed, what about this? Or what about this? What about that we got to talk to Monster, Highland, Hobart, KV, Ileana, all the people that are in it. And the real weak point in the wheel this week is that you got to deal with me. Sam and Peter are going to be in Indy at a conference. And they have been chosen to be one of 5 companies that are presenting at what is known as the Rally Conference in Indianapolis. It is a huge conference with all sorts of, it's called the Rally Innovation Conference. And our own, let's see, Cam Hansen, who's going to be there. The keynote speakers, Kevin O'Leary. Let's see, Kevin O'Leary's the guy on Shark Tank. He's a serial entrepreneur. Who else is going to? Charles Payne out of Fox is going to be there. Molly Bloom, she's pretty, I don't know if you've ever heard of her, seen her on some shows. She's going to be there. I went for the managing director of Goldman Sachs is going to be there. You're talking about the CMO of Zoom and that kind of thing. So they have these conferences in Indy, and I went to TED Sports, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. You guys probably noticed that I was gone. And we stayed in an Airbnb along Mass Ave and then walked over to the Old National Conference Center. And I got to tell you, I'm not altogether sure there could be a more higher quality of life than staying in an Airbnb right off Mass Ave and walking to Old National. And I had a great time, but I got to meet a whole ton of people that you wouldn't normally meet and kind of get some perspective on what is happening in the sports world. It was basically just TED Talks. You know how you do a TED conference? Those are usually really expensive. We got a couple of invites to it, and I'm like, man, I should go. What's her name? Pam Whitten, I think is her name. The head of IU gave a speech. Talked to Tamika Catchings. She and another woman are putting in Marvella. Are you guys familiar with this? I didn't know anything about it. And isn't it kind of odd to hear it from Tamika Catchings, a Hall of Fame basketball player? And when you're driving down I-65, they have Fair Oaks on your right. I believe it's on, I think it's on exit 220. And you would get off there and you could go watch chickens hatch, or you could see them make cheese, or you could just get gas and hurry up out. But if you go in a little deeper, plus there's a hotel there now and they got a big restaurant, but they've evidently going to put $100 million girls sports complex there, led by Tamika Catchings. And I got a feeling that part of the reason that they were at TED Sports was to raise more money. And it's going to be for girls from 8 to 18, where they can have a place to just go play sports, learn about leadership, and not have guys, little boys there, taking over the game. And also having top of the line coaching and mentorship. And I'm not really sure what kind of camps it is. I don't know where I imagine they'll have some camps where they stay in that hotel right there. But I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how, and then I learned, it's kind of odd to learn about it from Tamika Catchings. But the other woman is the former general manager of the Fever. And she also, I spoke with her about it, and I'm like, man, how do we not know about this? So I have a feeling we'll have Tamika Catchings and the former general manager of the Fever on the show at one point, because they're putting this massive thing kind of on the edge of the region. I think that's a different county. It's not Lake or Porter County. I think you've already gone past the Kankakee River at that point, but I'm not entirely sure but I'm not sure what county that is, but it's still part of the region. I mean, I think I-65 ends at around 258 or so, and then this is exit 220, so it's not even 30 miles or not even 40 miles away. So, but anyways, Peter and Sam are going to be at a different conference, and this will be Rally Innovation. And what happens is they have 5 distinct areas where you get to pitch to some of the top investors in America, and you got to send in your pitch, and then they look at it and they say, all right, I think it's ag, healthcare, software, hard tech, and then they have a new category called sports tech. And if you win one of your 5 areas, I guess the state of Indiana gives you $1 million. Now, we're not remotely, I mean, that's not our expectations. But we have been chosen as one of 5 companies from across America or across the world in the sports tech field to show what we do. And like I said, there's the best of the best new companies in America will be there in sports tech. How in the hell we got into the final 5, I have no idea. And but Sam has been practicing a pitch with the tutelage of Mont Hanley, who is the entrepreneur in residence here. And it occurs to us, I mean, most of these other places have all been on like Shark Tank, or they've been on these they go to these pitch competitions, and then people do invest in what you're doing. And Mont's like, it's a huge advantage to you guys, to us at JED TV Sports Network, in that we haven't taken on any outside money from, basically outside of the family and friends that we have going on that have, I guess, put the money behind it. But if you happen to be going to Rally Innovation, and the tickets are pretty expensive, so I could see if you weren't, but if you happen to be in Indy and you want to spend several $100s, or there's a few tickets floating around that if you know somebody in the startup world, especially down in Indy, that you can get a ticket. But I think we present, I won't be there, but Sam presents on Wednesday, and then they tell you who won on Thursday or whatever. Like I said, we are brand new to this game, and we will be competing with, I think here it is, the tickets are $449 just to go there for a day and watch all the pitches. And they have them at the convention center, so our own Sam Michael will go out on the stage. So there's, I think, 25 pitches that are made. They start with software, hard tech, and sports tech maybe on Wednesday, and then they do a few of them on Thursday. But they go, I think Sam and Peter will have 2 minutes, and then these top judges, I don't know, the heads of these companies, they ask them some questions, and then they move on. It's really good experience, because there's about 2,000 people or more in the theater. And then, of course, it is streamed around the world, I guess. So I don't even know. I guess I'll watch the stream. They'll give me a link somehow. And you're able to watch the things. But it says fueling industry and evolution by investing up to $5 million with individual ventures receiving up to $1 million to accelerate their startups. Like I said, so one of the things I will tell you that's kind of funny about this is that I told Sam, I go, we pitched to they had a traveling road show over here at PNW Sales Center, and you guys know I do a podcast with Matt Hansen. And it is called Mastering Local Marketing. And it's pretty popular, not so much here, but kind of around the country, because the principles that Matt Hansen he's been in digital marketing since it started. And I took his classes at PNW when I got my MBA, and I got to know him. And then I told him, I go, man, all this stuff you're talking about in class would make a good podcast. Took him a couple of years to come around to it, but one day he came to me and said, hey, listen, I'm ready. So we do Mastering Local Marketing, but he was having this road show at the PNW Sales Center, and he came over and he's like, and Mont came over and they said, hey man, you guys need to pitch to this thing. And we're like, man, we're not pitchers, we're just streamers. What are you talking about? And they go, well, hey, this was, I don't know, about 10 months ago, maybe in October or November of last year. And so Sam put together something, and we pitched to this like team of investors from the state of Indiana, and they came in, and it was basically if you pitched, the state would invest $20,000 in you. And we're like, well, hey, you know what? That's new equipment that we can use without having to, basically give up any equity. And you could pay back the state, or they had pretty favorable terms to take the 20 grand. And so I'm like, all right, whatever, Sam, if that's what you want to do. And we went over there and pitched. And so the state says, hey, listen, forget the 20 grand. We want you guys to come down, and we want to teach you how to really pitch. And then, we want you to go for big numbers that are, add a zero or two to the 20,000, right? I'm like, man, that's nuts. I don't even know. All we do is stream games and sell ads. And I think what it is that we kind of cracked some code where it's like, you know what? Everybody else is just trying to charge viewers, and if you want to pay to watch, and you guys are doing it for free, and you're relying on local business. Maybe that's the business model. We can make Indiana the home of fast streaming. So I'm like, what the hell? And so we go through this, I guess, training for a few months from the state of Indiana. And they go, they're talking some big numbers. And then finally, one day they go, hey, can you guys come down tomorrow? And we're like, what do you mean tomorrow? We're not supposed to do this for like a month and a half. Why don't you come down tomorrow? So we go down to these big offices in Indianapolis, and, Sam pitches, and I just kind of sit there looking dumb. And they ask a few questions, and I'm like, wow, that was kind of weird. And then they call us later and said, oh, we approved you guys for, X number, 6 figures. And I'm like, well, that's not as what they were talking about. It's much lower. But they said, oh, well, you know what? If you do this lower number, then they could get it done like in a week or two. I go, what do you mean in a week or two? I go, well, that sounds kind of weird. And Sam and I just didn't think about it for a couple of days, and they sent us something, and we didn't sign it. We're just kind of busy. We run a network. Well, on that Friday, Governor Braun froze all the investment funds for the state of Indiana. And we're like, well, whatever. We weren't really looking for the money anyways. We do what we do. Would have been nice to have the state take an interest, and they did take an interest. And I was, it kind of surprised us on the whole thing. But, the investors are like, man, you guys really have something. You have to cultivate it, and you can't just continue to fund it by yourself. I mean, this isn't how it works. So they froze all the funds. So a couple months later, you guys probably followed this. It was that the unfroze the funds. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. We'll get this money or whatever. No, they unfroze the funds for only the people that had already signed the documents. So Sam and I are like, well, maybe we should have moved a little further on returning signed documents. But it was kind of a funny part to our evolution, and a story that I guess we'll tell at some time. So now they have this big thing here. And again, it's like, hey, guys, why don't you put something in? And I told Sam, here's the funny part. I told Sam, I go, let's not do that. It takes us away from our business. We have a really good thing going for the NCC and the PCC and Cal College and IUN. And we stream all their games, and we're good at it. And the local businesses and the local unions, they all pay for it. And I go, this is solid. Let's keep doing it. Sam's like, no, we gotta do this rally. It's a big deal. It's international competition. It's a big thing for Indy. It's their biggest innovation conference in the Midwest. And I'm like, all right, whatever you're going to do. And he puts it in, and then I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. It doesn't make, I don't want to be part of that game. If you want to learn how to pitch and do all that, go ahead. So he's like, all right. He puts something together in like 10 minutes, sends it down, and we're an alternate. And I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. Well, whatever. They go, but if you're an alternate, you get a booth. So they have a booth. They can talk to investors that walk around and stuff. I go, well, that's probably kind of fun. You go down there and you talk to a lot of people and you get to see all the other pitches. And then you get to listen to that guy from Shark Tank. I watched him on TV last night on CNN. And, I would love to see him, but I'm not. If you two are leaving, I can't leave. So I'll be here. And ultimately, they moved us up from alternate to presenting. And it's kind of funny because Sam's like, you realize you told me not to do this and you didn't want anything to do with it, and it took us away from our business and all this. And he goes, I go, yeah, that's kind of ironic, right? He goes, yeah, it is ironic. He goes, it just kind of shows. Anyways, so they'll be gone. I'll be here, but Verley isn't here. And so what happened is Verley had something come up. I don't know. Every once in a while, even Verley doesn't feel well, you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, don't come in here and, just stay home. So what happened is when Verley's coming in, I deliberately prepare absolutely nothing. Does that make sense? I'm a closet preparer. When it's me, I've like read everything. I get up at 3 a.m. and I look at all the news so that when somebody calls in, I understand what's going on. So I can tell you this, that I prepared absolutely nothing. So if you got something you want to talk about, all you got to do is call 219-845-1100. If you're the NCC, you're stuck with me all week. And if you're a listener or a viewer on WJOB 1230 on YouTube, you're stuck with the guy who has done absolutely no prep. So I'll tell you what, we'll take a short break. And we will come back and talk about absolutely nothing because I don't have anything. We'll be right back on The Voice and Face of. Everybody, AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM. I'm Jed. I'm hanging out here on one of the most open radio stations in America. And if you want to hear me talk about some of the stuff behind the scenes, all you got to do is go to Substack and type in JED in the Midwest, and I write a little bit about what it is, free speech and not free speech, and what it's like to kind of just be in the Midwest. I think I wrote a Substack called Best Beach in America, and it's about going to Miller Beach and West Beach and how I think they are the best beaches in America, and you can either agree or disagree. But go to Substack and you'll be able to see that I write. It's kind of new. Anyways, let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. To Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. They're all moving along pretty well. In terms of what's happening in the weather, yes, it's still just a beautiful, that kind of late fall or early fall part, as I think fall has already started, but we still have summer weather hanging around, and certainly that is true today. Cloudy, warm, and humid. A thunderstorm this afternoon and a high of 81. And tomorrow, high of 70, mostly cloudy, not as warm, with a passing shower or two. And a shower in the area in the morning on Thursday, and that will be a high of 71 degrees. See what Andrew has to say with 219 News Now on the voice and face of the region.
219 News Now is brought to you by the South Shore Line and by Strachan Van Til, making lives easier for 95 years.
I'm Andrew Garcia, and this is your 219 News Now. Leo W. Gerard, the longest-serving president in United Steelworkers history, passed away at the age of 73. Over his 54-year career in the labor movement, he held various leadership positions within the union, working to expand its membership and influence both nationally and internationally. Gerard's legacy includes his commitment to advocating for workers' rights and building alliances with other unions around the world. The Indiana Department of Transportation is looking for winter season employees to perform general highway maintenance, traffic maintenance, and snow and ice removal, among other duties related to winter operations. Prospective candidates who must hold a valid CDL are invited to local hiring events scheduled from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. September 23rd at the INDOT facilities at 7601 Melton Road in Gary and 315 East Boyd Boulevard in LaPorte. Candidates can submit an application online for positions in Gary and LaPorte. Holiday Properties plans to invest $5 million in building the Aldridge Building in Michigan City to attract new industrial businesses. The 54,000 square foot speculative building will offer suites for 1 to 4 businesses with features like dock bays, LED lighting, and a fire protection system. The development aims to bolster the city's competitive edge and create new job opportunities in the industrial sector, with construction scheduled to begin in November. And in sports, the IU football team finally picked up its signature win on Saturday night after a 63-10 beatdown of then number 9 Illinois. The win gave the Hoosiers a second consecutive 4-0 start to a season for the first time since 1986. Indiana will travel to Iowa this Saturday, and as the voice of IU football, Don Fisher, tells JED TV sports director Sam Michael, now is not the time to get cozy after a big win, and certainly not against a Hawkeyes team that has won 4 straight in this series.
They're a team that you're going to have to deal with. And I think Indiana will win the game, and probably will win this game in not the same fashion as they did against Illinois, but will win the ball game going away at the end. So we'll see. Here's the other thing. Indiana hasn't beaten Iowa in the last 4 times they've played them. They've only played them 3 times in the last 10 years. They lost all 3. Iowa's had Indiana's number, and it's primarily because Kirk Ferentz is that good a coach. So he's going to break this game down too, and he's going to find where Indiana's weaknesses are or where he perceives them to be. And I think this is going to be a real challenge. And I say that at the beginning of a broadcast. At the end of a broadcast, I might sing a different tune. Who knows?
To read up on more local news and headlines, visit jedtv.com and nwi.com. I'm Andrew Garcia, and this has been your 219 News Now.
All right, there's a lot there, including IU football, man. Is that pretty exciting how they ripped apart Illinois, man? That was just a complete beatdown. And Don Fisher was as happy as you could be talking to Sam Michael yesterday. And that was kind of cool to see. I was like still sitting there thinking about it. It will be a couple of things, really big things coming up to watch. And one of those will be Indiana and at Iowa. And then I believe Indiana has a really tough schedule coming up past Iowa. They've got they'll be on the national stage, and you'll be able to listen to Don Fisher's call right here on WJOB. Many of you sponsors that get onto those broadcasts are reaping huge windfalls on the exposure there, and that those broadcasts are massive right now because everybody wants to listen to Don Fisher. He's been doing it for over 50 years. And so there's so many people in the region that will just listen when they're driving around or put it in their kitchen. Or, like me and many others, will sync up Don Fisher's call with what's on the TV. And that's about as good a quality of life as you could get. But I think Indiana goes to Iowa, and then you don't really want to look forward to October 11th because I think they get a bye week. But after that, could be one of the big. If you thought Indiana, Illinois was big, if Indiana beats Iowa and Oregon is able to get past, I think they have 2 games in between. So Oregon is at Penn State this Saturday. Penn State is number 3 in the country. And then Oregon also has a bye week. And then they will host Indiana. So if both Indiana and Oregon win, that could be Indiana maybe 8th in the country, Oregon maybe 3rd in the country if they're able to win their games. And that would be, if you thought Indiana, Illinois was big, Indiana, Oregon would be even bigger. Oregon's currently 6th, and Penn State is number 3, and they'll square off on Saturday. Jimmy Kimmel Live will return to ABC tonight, the network said, ending a nearly week-long standoff over the late-night talk show. But not of all of ABC's affiliated stations will be carrying Kimmel's comeback show. Sinclair, one of the country's biggest owners of local TV stations, said its ABC affiliates will preempt the show. Starting on Tuesday night, Sinclair said it will air news programming in the time slot instead. And Sinclair's conservative owners condemned Kimmel last week and contributed to ABC parent Disney's decision to pull the show from the airwaves temporarily. All right, got a question. Who's going to stay up tonight and watch Kimmel? I know that I'm going to go home and take a nap, and I haven't watched Jimmy Kimmel in I don't know how many. It's been probably pre-COVID, and I don't mind him. I just would never stay up till 10:30, so I'll take a nap today so I can stay up to watch Jimmy Kimmel. They're going to say this could be his most watched episode ever tonight. Are you guys going to do it? Let's take some phone calls, see how you guys are up to. Hey, you going to stay up and watch Jimmy Kimmel tonight?
We'll see.
All right. Why not, huh? It's kind of late. Hey, what's happening?
How's it going, Jimmy?
I'm doing okay. What's happening?
Oh, amongst other things, boxes packed here in my living room and preparing to relocate to a new apartment here in Evanston in an effort to try to beat back inflation.
So you're moving to a cheaper place?
Yes, cheaper place.
And you were
At
able
least in principle.
You were able to find that because these days a lot of people are getting their rent raised, and then they look around and they're like, so is everybody else. So it wouldn't save any money to move somewhere, but you're going to save some money, huh?
About a few $100 per month.
Oh, that's solid. That's solid.
Yeah.
Inflation is beating you up a little bit?
At least at this place.
Okay. Well, cool.
It might eventually beat me up at the new place, but I'm trying to save it off for a few years.
All right. Well, I mean, you're like everybody else, man. The rich get richer, and then we just have to watch our pennies. That's how it is. Although, you know, they're going to outlaw the penny, right? They're not going to have pennies anymore. It's all going to go. The lowest thing is going to be a nickel.
Yeah, I mean, okay, what can they use now to make a penny to where it's economically profitable? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're not going to outlaw them, but I think they're going to, Here it is. The U.S. Treasury Department says it will end production of pennies starting next year. Existing pennies will remain legal tender, and that's it. So I wonder if people are hoarding pennies right now.
I probably have done that here and there.
Yeah. You've probably hoarded a few
until
things, right?
until I actually go somewhere to where I'm actually spending legal tender and not using a debit card or something like that. Then I might part with some of them.
So, did you see that President Trump came out yesterday and said that Tylenol, he linked it to autism and told pregnant women not to take it? Did you see that?
What was it?
Nothing. Forget it. We'll just leave it at that. So, you got anything else?
I thought I saw something about supposedly Trump is pushing something that would supposedly either cure it or treat it, or I don't know what. It's like I'm thinking to myself, and it's like I'm kind of thinking to myself, you know what? So help me, it's like if there would have been a magic cure for this, wouldn't you think if this would have been found like long before now?
You mean a magic cure for autism?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, wouldn't you thought that this would have been found like long before now?
Now, Dave, I mean, I don't know if you would talk openly about it, but you have some experience. Do you have any experience with autism?
Let me say this much. I got diagnosed with this kind of like after I graduated from Griffith. So, yes quite well.
Yeah, so I do want to say one thing. Autism is certainly in the news right now, especially with President Trump talking about it for about a half an hour last night and trying to address the causes of it. And basically, Dave, he said that, women that are pregnant, if they take Tylenol, even though he didn't have any evidence for it, he just thought that it was very dangerous. Now, maybe one day we'll find it, but here I'll read it. President Donald Trump announced Monday that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration will notify doctors that the use of Tylenol during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism, despite decades of evidence that Tylenol is safe. And Trump said this: they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary, such as to treat fever if you can't tough it out. So Trump asked women that, have headaches or a fever to basically tough it out. Even though there's really no evidence that Tylenol is linked to autism, President Trump kind of thinks it is. So what do you think about that, Dave?
What scientist has been given him this information now? You know what I'm saying?
Experts say there are multiple causes of autism, and the science showing a connection between autism and Tylenol is not settled. So,
I mean, the theory is any number of things could kind of contribute to it, and you don't always know what the magic bullet is in any specific case.
What I guess is something that is brought to my attention, Dave, having known you for many years. Two things. One is that you weren't diagnosed until you were an adult. I mean,
yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Although to kind of put things in perspective, when I was younger, like way back when I was like in about like before third grade. I was actually diagnosed back then with mental retardation back when I was a kid. So that's what they thought was wrong with me. And then I kind of seemed to kind of like progress along relatively normally. And then I think somewhere along the way, I think my mom kind of got into college. She majored in psychology, and then she kind of learned about autism and then kind of got me tested, and yeah. So there you go.
Hey,
Over at
Dave,
Purdue Cal.
Dave, let me ask you a question. I mean, you've been following the case of another guy I know with autism and have known for a very long time, and that's Scott Lindsay. He was riding his bike in Hessville Park. It was a national story, and he was jumped.
And Kuziak was still on fire, at least that Friday when I kind of called into his show, by the way.
What was he on fire about?
Oh, just kind of going on, just wanting to take the people who whipped Scott Lindsay to the woodshed. That type of fire.
Yes, and I heard about it. I didn't listen to it, but I felt
bad. And let me say this much: Kuziak was right. Kuziak is right.
What do you mean he's right?
About wanting to kind of do the LCJ, I think is it D or JC or Lake County Juvenile Center or juvenile facility for some of those kids that were involved in that.
How does that make you feel? I mean, you don't know Scott, do you?
I think only through Davich's article, and I think your station talking about him.
Yeah, well, you know him through me. I mean, I know both of you. And, like your mom having gone and done psychology and stuff, I mean, he's kind of like you, Dave. I mean, really high functioning and just a really cool dude. It's very sad right now, David, because I went over to Jewel to see him where he works, and he had a nice mouthful of teeth, and he was just autistic, really cool dude. He lived on the street, and he was I considered him just a friend, and then he's got 6 teeth across the top of his mouth that are missing, and it's just kind of rough. He's just like, oh well, we'll get through this, and he has a really good attitude about it. But I'm pretty sad about it, I guess, and I'm like Kuziak, kind of pissed about it. But Scott has such forgiveness in his heart and such kind of willingness to move on. He texted me Saturday. He's like, hey, Jim, I'm over here. I rode my bike through Hessville Park. Again, they had the Mexican parade, or the Mexican dancers, the folklorico, and he sent me a picture. And I was so proud of him to get back on his bike and not be, I guess, so, traumatized by this situation that he's not going to ride his bike in Hessville Park. To me, Dave, that's incredible courage and bravery. What do you think?
Says something about tenacity, I guess,
It's the same kind of tenacity that you have, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah.
I've seen you bounce back from some things, too. David, it's good to hear from you. I'm sorry you had to go to a smaller apartment because, of money and inflation.
I think actually, from what I thought, I kind of heard from the guy, it sounds like at least this space might be even a little bit bigger than this one.
Really?
Yeah. And it's cheaper.
All right, man. Well, that helps everybody. Hey, man, it's good to hear from you, and I'm glad it's going well. One day, maybe, we could get you and Scott on at the same time. You know what I mean? And Scott's pretty open about autism, and so are you. Maybe it's time to have a good, deep discussion about it. What do you think?
I think the trick would be kind of getting me down from Evanston early on in the morning. That would be the trick.
We could Zoom, David. I know you're good at it because you've done it with me. So, we'll just Zoom that, okay? I got a Zoom right here.
Yeah, maybe
we can FaceTime it or something, all right?
Yeah, maybe we might have to do the Zoom app, I think.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
yep.
It's always good to hear from you, man. You're one of the good guys.
Hey, I try.
All right,
sometimes
lot,
my
man.
fiance wonders about that, but still,
All right, man. I'll talk to you. Thanks a lot. Yes, that is big news last night. And President Trump announced that they're, I think he said don't take Tylenol, I don't know, maybe a dozen times during his thing. The balancing act of that is that doctors prescribe Tylenol to pregnant women to control their fevers, especially if their fevers get a little bigger and a little higher, and because a fever can cause all sorts of things, including birth defects and miscarriage. So I guess the discussion is, what it says, without treatment, a fever can be dangerous for both the fetus and the pregnant person. Risks include miscarriage, birth defects, and high blood pressure. At some point during pregnancy, most people use acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, and it is considered the only safe over-the-counter option for pain or fever for pregnant people. And what did Trump say? He also addressed hepatitis B. He said it's too much liquid, too many different things going into the baby. So Trump created quite a stir for going after Tylenol and for going after vaccines last night. All right, hey, stay where you're at on the line. I wanted to do a little extra time there with David, so give me a second. I'll be right back. Let's pay some bills. Why not? Something, okay? I know that when I do the show, and it's been this way for 20 years or more, that many of you are like, hey, dude, move it along and, match the pace of the world. And I hired a consultant to look at it, and he's like, hey, man, you got to move it quicker. I'm like, really? That's the world, right? Yeah, the world wants things really quick. And I go, well, I don't think it does. I think that a lot of people want people that know how to slow it down a little bit. And I don't do it on purpose. You just get what's going on. You get to go at my pace. And that has always been one of my biggest criticism of the way that we have evolved here in the last 20 years. It isn't social media. It isn't immigration. It isn't. To me, it's pace. We can't handle the pace. It overloads us, and we don't know what to do, and we get afraid, and bad things happen. So just slow down. I'll get to everything. I got somebody texting me, going, move on. I'm like, what do you want me to move on to? Really, what am I moving on to? But anyways, let's take a look. I'm here by myself. Verly wasn't feeling well, and so I just said, Verly, don't come in here, please. And so she will be here next week. And who knows? She may even call me. But I didn't really get anything ready because I do it purposefully when Verly's coming. I don't prep, so everything she brings up seems kind of fresh. But anyways, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford into the Dan Ryan is moving along pretty well. Up until where the Steel Bridge hits, then it starts backing up from the Steel Bridge to 76th Street, and then it opens up a little bit on the Dan Ryan Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65. They're all moving along pretty well. In terms of what's going on in the weather, really, it was so beautiful yesterday. Went over and threw the kids around for a little bit. And And then I went and played some JED golf at Wicker Park late. The wife was getting her hair done, so I had some time, and it was just a gorgeous evening. I couldn't believe how nice it was out at Wicker Park right at sunset. That might not be the case today. It could be kind of nice early as a beautiful sunrise. Cloudy, warm, and humid, a thunderstorm this afternoon, and a high of 81. Tomorrow, 70 is your high. And then Thursday, a high of 71. I got some open lines, but let's go to it. I'd love to hear from you, see what's on your mind. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Good morning, Jed. Maybe Trump will find a cure for Delexis. What do you call that? Dyslexic? And we don't have to deal with this every morning.
You know what? I'm, in a weird way, kind of like Dave. I never really knew I was dyslexic until I was I was way older than he was when he got diagnosed with autism. But you're right, man. It took a long time before I figured it out. And it made a lot of things clear to me. You know what I mean?
But you do have a kind heart, and I do love listening to WJOB. At 3:30 in the morning, when I wake up for the fifth time to pee, I say, man, 2.5 more hours Jed is on. But condolences to Leo Gerard, a great man. And I have the video. I'm not going to play it. But he said, we've been waiting for 30 years for the Democrats to do something. And Trump did it on his first day of office. And you know what that word is, Jed? Trans-Pacific Partnership. I think that's why a lot of people voted for Trump, because Hillary was supporting Trans-Pacific Partnership. Remember that day at U.S. Steel when you gave me the hook, threw me off the stage? But here, I really got a big question.
No, hold on. Before you go on, I do want to talk about Leo Gerard. He passed away at the kind of youngish age of 73. Very sad in the steelworkers community. By the way, I was at Wicker yesterday, and they had a bunch of signs for the local 1010 outing. I don't know if it's today or if it was yesterday, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that are pretty sad in the labor community, in the steel community. But let me tell you, I interviewed Leo Gerard twice, and I would love to find that tape, but neither time I could play it on the air. You know that, right? I went over there.
There was another guy that was like that. He was a good man, too. He passed, by the way.
Who was that, Jack Parton?
No, I don't want to say his name.
All right. But anyways, so I go over to the hall. I think local 1010 was over there way in the north part of the harbor then, and now it's over by Morton High School. And, everybody's having a good time, and I know a lot of the guys at 1010, so I have one or two also. And Gerard gives a speech, and then we're kind of partying and hanging around. And finally I go, hey, I brought my tape recorder, Leo. I would like to get some tape. And he's like, all right, I guess so. Because, once you start partying a little bit, you don't necessarily want to do it, but he did. So I got him going on tape, MX. And he was swearing profusely. And, I'm not going to go and beep every little word out. So I just told about it. I didn't play the tape, but I'm like, well, I got to the end of it and I go, Leo, that was excellent stuff. And he's talking about the American steel worker and how much steel means to the region and some of the political problems they were having at the time. I don't know who the president was. I think it was Bush. And, but he couldn't do it without laying F-bombs. And I'm like, he's in the hall. He's had a few. I understood it, but there's no way I could play it on AM radio ever.
He's a good man.
He's a good man, and I really enjoyed him. Very, a lot of fun too. You know what I mean? He could make those steel workers laugh.
Yeah,
he was like a comic almost. But anyways,
yeah, he was a Trump supporter too, and he was president of all unions. It's already out there. Don Lutz, who helped get my retirement going, he was another good guy, and he said some words up there on the steps of Inland Steel that were pretty good. But I think I know why Verley didn't come in today. This is a good one. I follow this woman all the time.
Because
I follow this woman all the time. She says, just in case y'all wanted to know, Congressman Frank Mervyn voted on a resolution entitled Honoring the Life and Legacy of Charlie Kirk. And she's not happy about it. She's a real nice person. She's from Gary.
How do you know she's not happy about it?
You want me to read the rest of it? Gets kind of more.
What is it? Her post?
Yeah, it's her post.
All right. Well,
She
I'll
was
look at it. But do you
She
think
is a
that?
politician.
So
She was a politician.
So what do you think about Mervan signing that?
You got to read all the comments.
No, but Mervan signed the resolution honoring Charlie Kirk. And I don't know that for sure. I'd have to confirm it. Adriana, can you confirm that? But I was told the same thing that you're saying. So let's act as if it's true. How would you feel about that if you were a Democrat?
Well, I guess she has him kind of marked not as a good person. You know what I'm saying? And but they're worried. They say Frank's worried about the that redistricting that's going on, and they're not happy about it in Gary. And you got to get through Gary to win, right?
Well, I mean, think about this, MX. Niemeyer, Ruth Green, who's having a whole hell of a lot of trouble down in Indianapolis right now, reportedly. And the Republicans, even though Lake and Porter County are becoming more Republican, especially in the south parts, they're not able to beat Visklosky, and then they're not able to beat Frank, so they're going to change the rules mid-game. And honestly, how I look at it is like, man, when you got all three houses, you got the governor, the senator, and the representatives, I mean, it's your right, man. Do whatever you want. But I get the feeling that there's a lot of people that are just kind of don't like that. They're kind of independent people, not people maybe like you that, are kind of pro-Trumpish on everything, doesn't matter what. There's people that kind of like look at different issues and are more in the middle. And I'm hearing from a lot of them that they're like, man, I don't like Frank Mervan, but I don't like changing the rules either. So I don't know if they're going to do that.
Well, who's your, what do they call that, producer? Who did you say your producer was?
Adriana Alvarez just showed up.
Okay,
yes.
I didn't get to. I know who Adriana is. Adriana, it's House roll call, vote 282.
All right, she's looking it up. She's looking it up right now.
That might. I might shake Mervin's hand, but I don't know. But back to.
You know what? Back to Gerard. I want to say this, everybody in the steel community. That's a giant that passed away. Leo Gerard. Not just a giant, a really fun human being who's done a lot of good stuff for steel in general. And there's another steel story. You know that, right?
Well, let me finish. Gerard was our George Patton, and George Patton talked like Gerard, but go ahead.
So Trump, It's kind of weird. We didn't really understand what was going on, but when the Trump administration, I guess, kind of okayed Nippon Steel buying U.S. Steel, so I think that was in January where they bought U.S. Steel, right? So There was one share out there that the federal government got and said that they could have like basically veto rights on production choices and a couple other things, right? And so recently, U.S. Steel was going to, I think, take a raw slab processing away from Granite City, which is down by St. Louis.
Yep.
And from what I read last night, Trump has invoked the golden share and says you can't do that.
Exactly. So, but it's almost like, remember when Chevy and Dodge went under, and then Obama and Ford made it, and then Obama had to do it he gave money to bring back Dodge and Chevy. Concliffe, what's his name first? Now you got me all these names.
Lorenzo. Yeah.
Lorenzo Concliffe is doing everything right, like Ford did. And with Nippon coming in with a big pocketbook, that was pretty smart of doing that. Now, I also heard, because there's a lot of steelworkers in MX cartoons, that after 2 years, Nippon can lay off. That ain't a good.
You know, I was reading some of that agreement, and I hate to get too far into the weeds on this, but it affects us pretty big here. From what I understand, they can't close production plants, which, from what I understand it and how I read it, was that they can't close Gary until 2035 if they wanted to, right? So I think you're guaranteed 10 years of, and they have to invest, I can't remember exactly how much money it is, but from what I understand, they have said they're going to invest, $1 billion into Nippon Steel or U.S. Steel right there in Gary. Now, MX, the best way to understand this is to kind of talk to the people, and I talked to Don Summer yesterday. He's a bricklayer dude, the head of the bricklayers around here. And I just kind of asked, I mean, they're relining that stove over at U.S. Steel, that big stove, and I don't know, taking tons of bricklayers from around here. So I don't know if that's any indication. Maybe that was already on the books before Nippon bought it, or if Nippon is starting to spend some money to reline some furnaces and that kind of stuff. But there's so many things going on with Trump, but perhaps the biggest thing that affects us here in Northwest Indiana is that he invoked his golden share so that they can't close, raw production in Granite City. Granite City and Gary have pretty close relationship for U.S. Steel, which is now Nippon Steel. So that was kind of lost in the shuffle last night. So was the death of Leo Gerard. I didn't see it anywhere. All right, man, we got to move.
One last thing, Jed. If I was president, Cleveland Cliffs was going to give $14 billion, and Nippon gave $15 billion. If I was Trump, I would have given that extra $1 billion to Cleveland Cliffs, and we all would have been happy.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you. 219-845-1100. Let's have the next. Hey, how you doing, by the way?
Good morning. I'm sitting over here by the train station on Michigan and Indianapolis Boulevard, waiting to pick up this guy from New York.
To learn how to drive a truck?
Yeah, yesterday I was at the doctor's office getting my blood drawn, and the phone rings. It was my boss. He says, hey, now we got a main business of the academy in Jersey, which is close to New York. But because of how I teach, this guy needs to be taught in 15 days. And I did a guy from Colorado real quick that time. And, well, anyhow, my boss says, man, we really need you to come in and teach this guy. You know how to do it in a time frame. So I'm on a 1-to-1 strictly. I don't teach any other students at the yard. I'm strictly with him. And then, but at noon today, I got to take a student out to Portage to get tested so he can graduate and get his CDL. But then I'm on a 1-to-1 basis with this guy from New York. I mean,
All right,
He's
all right.
staying
Hold
up
on a
in
second.
he's staying up in Chicago. I says, well, there's hotels around here. Well, I go, well, you lived in New York, or you live in New York, so you're used to big cities, so you're probably more happy being in Chicago. Yeah, kind of. So, yeah, go ahead.
So, Mike, just to put this into perspective, by the way, hold on a second. Does my mic sound okay to you? All right, I got a brand new one. All right, it's brand new. Just hold on. I got to give Adriana.
You just blabbered too much.
Adriana, it is set on mono. And after the show, can you take it to stereo? I couldn't figure it out today. I installed a new system. I got here early, and Adriana will fix it when I'm done. But Mike, let's put this into perspective. You're the guy that was live on the air and had a medical issue. Tom Dabberton, MX, Dave Gearman, a lot of people got into action and got you to the hospital, and you were in the hospital. Matlock came and saw you. It was really a WJOB community coming together to address your thing. And so hold on a second. So you're good enough now to get back teaching guys how to drive, or people how to drive trucks?
I sent you the picture showing all the prescriptions I'm taking.
And I don't want to look at them. I'm not going to show it.
I don't care what you do.
No,
you're the owner of the station. I mean, I don't care. I don't hide nothing. I'm happy because people from this station and this whole station got together, saved my life. I don't hide nothing. I'm happy now because my boss understands. He asked me yesterday after I started teaching a while, how you feeling? I says, okay. Now, I took my blood pressure last night when I got home, and it was 121 over 73, which is good. I'm doing good. I'm getting my rest. I'm doing like you say, don't overwork. My boss understands that I'm not going to be working ungodly hours at this academy because simple reason, I don't want this situation to ever happen again. But the thing is this guy from New York, we were talking, and I gotta give him 15. And I just started yesterday at 1:00 in the afternoon with this guy, and I coached these guys in to get them to feel real comfortable, and I started getting him to do his maneuvers, which I needed to get him done real quick. And he says, I could have chose everywhere else, but for some reason, this place, I had a feeling that I was going to get treated right, and that's why he chose all the way from New York to here to get trained.
No doubt that you're, an expert truck driver, and that I kind of wish that more truck drivers would study under you, especially those that are going way too fast on the Borman through the region, and the problems that causes for our local travel. But I guess I have a little bit of concern for your health.
Yeah, I know. I can tell if I'm not going to feel good, I'm going to tell the boss I'm staying home. I mean, I like being home because now I'm getting my Social Security check and everything's falling in place right. I'm getting a little scared that my wife's going to get tired of me being home every day. That's what I'm scared about. I mean.
All right, I'll address that. Thank you, Mike.
Everybody from the station, have a wonderful and a safe day today, okay?
All right, man. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Yesterday, Adriana, you see that little box over there, that barracks box right there? It's a little bitty.
Yeah, I see it.
A little silver box. That is going to be our connection to the station. We're not going to have to go to the cloud anymore because there's too many failure points.
Okay. Also, you are in stereo now.
How'd you fix that? I was sitting here for 20 minutes.
It was just one button.
Okay, thanks a lot. But anyways, I was talking to the guy working on the network, and I'm like, dude, what do you he's like, oh, yeah, I worked here, I worked there, but now I'm back working. And I'm like, well, why? He goes, oh, because I sat home for like 6 months, and I was driving my wife crazy. So I'm back working on IT. And so there it is. I have a feeling that Deb is going to get tired of having Mike home all day, and he is looking for something to do. Hey, let's take a couple more phone calls. 219-84. There's a lot on the board. We just talked about Leo Gerard. We talked about Trump's invoking the golden share against Nippon, and that was done in Granite City, and there's 800 workers down there, and they were going to close some steel production down there, and Trump's like, no, you're not. So that golden share that they put in kind of at the last minute to allow the Nippon purchase of U.S. steel has been invoked. It's a big deal, and we got to follow that. Of course, Leo Gerard, the head of the Steelworkers Union, dies at the age of 73. Tonight, Adriana, you going to stay up late and watch Jimmy Kimmel?
Think I will, yes. I just find it really funny that it hasn't even been a week and they reinstated him because people think that it's because Disney shares dropped so much and that will have people reinstate their subscription plans, because I think it was around $4.1 billion that they lost because of that. And there was no apology or anything of the statement, so I think everybody's just really excited to see what Kimmel's going to say, and if he will say anything on it or if he'll just continue on, like, okay, we're back. So
I'm kind of interested also.
I want to see what he says, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it'll take a nap, and then I'll be able to wake up and watch it and then stay up till 2 in the morning. But I'm looking forward to it. You see, there's a couple things there. You know, obviously we do, you know, part of our charge here is to have some education to what's going on. But this is a major case with Jimmy Kimmel. First of all, I always was a little bit skeptical of Kimmel in the position that he is. And I'll tell you why. He's a sports guy. And I know the difficulty in trying to move from sports to politics and news. And you don't always know all of the issues. It's like here, you're very informed. Mm-hmm. And part of it is doing your, you know, working in Chicago radio now, and you know you got to know the issues there too, right? So you're very informed, way more informed, honestly, than when you were here.
Than I used to be.
Yeah, you used to be. But some of the most informed people in the region come on here: Verley, mm-hmm. Dabberton, Pullen, Kuziak, and a lot of times sports guys are watching Monday Night Football, or they are, you know, looking at the box scores of a recent game instead of following what's going on in the news, because I'm very guilty of that. And I don't know if that has happened with Jimmy Kimmel, and sometimes he just thinks that you can say things that aren't going to affect people. Like in the sports world, you can get a little harsher, and he switched over, and I think it's been a problem for him. There's also been a lot of talk about free speech, but notice how Disney handled it, because to some extent we have some of the same issues here. How mm-hmm. do you? They suspended him, right? Mm-hmm. And then they brought him back. They made a couple mistakes in this. I think. First of all, they talked to the media through the weekend.
they made a good amount of mistakes, but it's also. I have to agree with somebody that just commented. It was Paul Goddard. He said that great job by ABC to promote the show in any way. That could have been something that they did alongside with that. But then also a lot of people are saying that just because they brought him back, like, okay, great, we're still not going to reinstate our subscription, because what they feel is that it's still bad. So why would we reinstate our subscription? Like, oh, okay, you fix it. All's well that ends well. We're good. So it's just kind of how you see it. Now, I didn't really cancel my Disney Plus subscription, mainly because I was like, I understand that it's easier to hurt the company by taking away your purchase from them. That's what a lot of people have been doing. That's why people are still protesting Target in that sense. But I think it's just also because I was too busy to even like look at canceling the subscription. But there's a lot of people that they tried, and it gave them error codes to cancel it.
It's hard.
It is hard to cancel any subscription.
Amazon makes it hard to cancel Prime, and
mm-hmm.
you know it's hard to cancel these subscriptions.
Yeah.
And part of it was there's a lot of people also to the theme parks that were canceling vacations.
Oh yeah, they were canceling whole vacations, and I was like, okay, that may be a little extreme, but then also that's how people feel. And they rather have their First Amendment than a family vacation. And it's either you look at it as you look at those people in awe and you say, okay, wow, you are very much in support of this, or you look at them like they're crazy. I don't think there's no middle point to that at that point. Like, I think the middle point is canceling your subscription, not canceling a whole vacation.
219-845. You know, I'm smiling because Adriana, when you started sitting back there, you didn't know any of what was going on.
No, and now I do, and now I'm just like, oh my goodness,
and
this is how the world works. This is terrible.
You're very passionate about things, and I'm just glad to see it. I'm glad to see it. But anyways, let's take one more phone call. 219-845-1100. Hey, you're on the air.
You know, I wanted to call a couple of weeks ago to tell you how much I enjoyed that Dan McNeil interview that you did. What a guy. What a life story. And I'm not a sports guy. I'm a car guy.
What attracts you?
Just you could tell he's genuine. The guy was speaking from his heart. Not from the position of being, you know, as high a position as he held in the sports broadcasting world, but genuine feelings about how his life has gone and his regrets and the things that he's done in the past that he's proud of. It was really good. Probably one of the best I've ever heard.
Okay, hold on. We adjusted something. You're talking about Dan McNeil, right?
Yes, Dan McNeil.
Yeah,
and,
so let's talk about that a little bit. McNeil really opened up.
He did.
He has never done that. And behind the scenes, I have prompted him to tell his life story because it's extraordinary. And I think he's coming around to it. And he opened up like I was just sitting here in awe about him raising his little brother when he was 26 and his little, you know, they're living in a little apartment in Hammond. And I knew none of that. You know, he's rising in Chicago to big jobs, and at the same time he has all this turmoil on his home life. And then, you know, he has a special needs son and, you know, that kind of stuff. But did you hear when McNeil said, he goes, man, I guess if I were to do it over again, maybe I wouldn't be such a job hopper. And that was huge for him to admit that publicly.
Well, I mean, you can tell the guy was genuine. I mean, like you said, he was speaking from his heart. You don't hear that often in interviews today. You really don't. They're always scripted, or they've been told not to say something. It was good. The other thing that I really wanted to agree with him was the thing about Chet Topic. I met Chet Topic. I was doing an automotive segment on WIND in Chicago on the weekend, and Chet was a co-host on the show. And what a nice guy. I mean, you know, Chet Topic was a big deal in the sports world, and I'm not a sports guy, but always had something to say to you, a nice word, and have a conversation with you. Yeah, you don't meet many people like that today, unfortunately. But really, I mean, some really good people. We've lost some good people, and I hope things go well for Dan. I really do. He deserves it.
Yes, plus he's a local guy. I mean, he's from Highland.
Exactly.
We won't hold that against him, but yeah, I mean, he's a local guy, and I think it's kind of coming around for him. Follow him on Facebook, and he is, I think he was pretty open about his brother being pretty ill, and he was going to spend some time, you know, hopefully it's not the end of his brother's life, but it could be, and he wanted to spend as much time as possible. So it makes me feel good to see Dan McNeil on the golf course with his little brother.
Well, I think it was one of the best interviews that I've ever heard you conduct. You know what? Like I said, I listen to a lot of radio all day, and you don't hear a lot of interviews like that. And it was a feather in your cap. Much different from what you usually say.
I knew you had to put that last little jab in there.
Yeah.
Hey, anything else? There's so many things going on in the world, but one interview you will never hear is one of the interviews I did with Leo Gerard, the head of the steelworkers, who just died because of the amount of cuss words in it. and it was just, I can't beep all this out. And he had a beer in his hand, I had a beer in my hand, and we turned the microphone on, and it was outstanding. But I don't know if I could ever find that. But Trump invoked the golden share. I mean, I think this news story was kind of lost because Trump has a golden share that he's told them they had to keep making steel in Granite City for U.S. Steel, which Nippon now owns. It kind of bodes well for Gary here, and that, the president could say, no, you got to keep, if they ever tried to do something here at Gary, they could invoke it and say, no, you got to keep making it.
Listen, history is going to show that was one of the biggest mistakes that Trump ever made, was allowing these guys to buy that company. I'm telling you, if these guys have been buying companies here for the last 30 and 40 years, and I've seen it time and time again. Yeah, at first, we want to expand, we want to invest all this money, and then they slowly start going through the vendor list, and then they start attacking the salaries of the people that work there. Those trades are going to see over time that this was a huge mistake. You mark my words.
I don't know. I mean, there's arguments on both sides. I mean, you could make a similar argument about BP. They have invested heavily, right, in what they're doing. They spent billions of dollars. Now, from a strict union versus non-union standpoint, there's more. It seems as if there's more and more non-union contractors coming in there, and that's not good for labor around here. But U.S. Steel's pretty much all union right now. Do you think they may go the way of BP?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it. That's why they're willing to pay up for these companies, because they know over the long haul, they're going to get that money back in spades. And that's where it's going to come from. Listen, you're a business guy. You know that if you want to save money, you don't go around turning off lights and counting sheets of toilet paper. You cut people. That's where your business expenses is, your payroll. And that's what they're going to do.
What did you do at WIND?
I did a automotive segment. It was a short thing, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, as a sideline to it was called the Man Show. It was on Sunday nights, but it was fun. But meeting Chet, you got to meet a lot of nice people. IND's a beautiful radio station, really is. That's very conservative.
People don't realize that the towers right here at Klein and the Borman.
It's conservative. It's a conservative-owned radio station. I think Christian Broadcasting owns it, don't they?
I don't know who owns WIND. It's very conservative, yes. But I'm just curious. You're an automotive guy. How do you feel about EVs?
There's a place for EVs, no doubt about it. But you know what? You don't push technology. The government. You don't go spend how many billions of dollars that Biden wanted to build all these charging stations across the country. No, there's a place for EVs. If you live in town, you don't drive a lot. You got a home charger. It's great. But if you want to go cross country, I got news for you. The infrastructure is not there, and it shouldn't be there because there's not that much demand. What are they, like 0.06 of the car market today? Give me a break. And you know what? If it's so great, why do you got to put a $7,500 tax incentive on it? You shouldn't have to. Let it evolve. The government right away jumped the gun. It's like these solar farms and these windmills. Then you're going to find out that if you take the tax incentives off, nobody would be building these things.
Hey, have you ever gone over to the Target in Munster right there by the Wendy's?
No.
They have all these charging stations. Next time you're going down Calumet, get off and just go over and look. And they had they have a bunch of charging stations kind of between Target and the Wendy's. And for the longest time, I ride my bike through there, and there was very little use of it. And I would say maybe since the beginning of summer, use there has to have jumped 50 or 100%. And sometimes there's people waiting to get their car charged there. But
okay, so the demand built slowly over time, and those people obviously don't have a home charging station. And a lot of times, those businesses will give you a really good rate for charging because they want you to say, well, you're not going to sit in your car and charge. You're going to go in the store and shop. It's another hook to get you in the store.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I looked at that too. Most of the thing, there wasn't people sitting in their cars. They either went into Wendy's or they went into probably Target or the Staples, or maybe even people were visiting their relatives over at Munster Med Inn, or walked across the street and did their laundry. Who knows? But it's packed, and that's a big change. So I was against them in the beginning, or not really, wasn't a big, I would never look at buying one. But my wife just went to a law conference and drove with another judge that had a EV, and they drove to Fort Wayne and back without charging.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's evolving, Jim. The technology is evolving. They're getting better with the batteries. The electric motors are getting better. I'm going to tell you what made me a convert. My son and I race go-karts, indoor go-kart racing. We like to do it because we could do it all year round. It's inside. The weather doesn't affect it. And we go up in Buffalo Grove, a place called K1 Karting. And we went there one day, and the guy goes, oh, guys, we got the electric carts now instead of the gas ones. And they used to have Honda-powered gas go-karts pretty fast. And I go, oh, man, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do this. The guy says, look, get in this go-kart. If you don't like the way it runs, I'll give you your money back. I said, well, that's fair. I said, let me try it. Let me tell you, brother, it made a convert out of me. That thing, the power off the corners. He says, it's 100% torque, an electric motor. After a couple of laps, I had to stop. I couldn't catch my breath. That's how hard this kart accelerated versus the gas one. And he said, man, there's virtually no maintenance. There's no fumes. I said, well, you converted me. I mean, there's something here, obviously. And I think over time, they could probably be 20 or 30% of the market. But I don't see why you have to give them the incentives. And a lot of people, you can buy just about any type of gas-powered automobile. It's going to get 35, 40 miles a gallon today. So it's not like, you're going to spend a ton of money on gas anyway. So you know what? It's America, baby. Let things evolve,
It's a good point. I mean, here I am getting quiet and thinking, eventually I got to get a new car, or smaller. I like the smaller SUVs, and I haven't bought a new car for myself in 20 years because it's either like, all right, should I go buy a nice car, or should I buy some more cameras or put some more money in the business? So for 20 years, that's what I've done. But at some point, it'll loosen up a little bit, and I got to buy a vehicle for myself, right? So I'm looking at them. I see guys driving these little SUVs that are EVs. I like those. I'm not a big Tesla fan, but Ford's doing a good job of it, and basically every manufacturer. And there's some really cool smaller SUVs right now.
There is. But you know what? When you talk about buying new versus buying used, there's such a difference in price. There's so many good used cars that are like 5 years old, or maybe even a little bit older, with a lot of life left in them. I just can't justify spending the extra money for a brand new one.
I know. Here I am talking about getting a new car. I never will. I'll get somebody will hear this and they'll call me up and, hey, I get this 4-year-old, blah, blah, blah. I'll give it to you. I'll cut 20% off it, and I'll buy a used car. All right. That was all BS. I like looking at them, but I'll probably never buy a new car. All right, man. You should think about doing your own auto segment.
Now, you know what? I'm 73 years old. I got one more business startup left in me. I don't have enough time left. I'll be honest with you, man.
Adriana's over here. She runs the WJOB Podcast Network, and it's growing. She got 16 podcasts now. I don't really want anything to do with it, but she's nodding. She's like, yeah, this guy would be good. All right, man. I'll talk to you. Thanks a lot.
Hey,
we'll take a short break. We'll be right back on the Voice and Face of the Region.
Hold on. Oh. Maybe. It's because of Pandora, even though Pandora's not supposed to be here, but...
I apologize in advance for that music.
It's got to stay if we want to get monetized.
So here's the deal. It's basically Adriana is been kind of put in a couple of different positions you wouldn't normally put a 20 or now she's 21-year-old, but obviously Adriana was given a lot of responsibility in a hurry as Sonny left and Pedro passed. And then now she's like, well, hey, we'll do this podcast network. I have nothing. I don't really have anything to do with it. But I know she's got 16 podcasts. And
someone put the best comment ever. It's amazing. They said, third floor, please. Great elevator music. That's what it is.
It is. And
it's elevator music.
All right, so hold on. Tell people where they can comment during the show.
You guys can comment on youtube.com/WJOB1230, and we have a live chat for our YouTube. I think that's one thing the viewers will like is as they comment all different things, and they've been pretty good. The commenters have been behaving themselves, so we like that. So yeah, we have to play non-copyright music to make sure that we do not get copyrighted on YouTube. Because once we do, then they are able to not monetize us. And if we continue playing it after we're able to be monetized, then they will delete the entire YouTube channel in itself. So to avoid that, we have to play elevator music of non-copyright music. We usually try to find ones that are not in this, like, I don't know how to explain it other than the fact that it is not a YouTube outro of a music. So like you'll have a normal video and then you will just have this blast of very loud over the top music. So that's why we kind of have elevator music as our bumper music. But we have to get in the habit of that moving forward so we don't get our entire channel taken down. Because I do think that the people who comment, they like it a little bit because they're able to put their 2 cents in if they are unable to get on phone lines.
So just to explain it to people, a couple things are going on. And one is that we have the JED TV Sports Network that runs exclusively now on the on our app on Apple, Google, all that. I mean, it's at Roku. It has grown considerably. We got tens of thousands of people that have downloaded it to watch the sports, and we have taken, and Adriana has taken the video portion of WJOB to YouTube. Now you can still, for the next couple of months or so, watch us in the morning on JED TV until we're able to fully migrate over here. And Sam was here yesterday, and I was here trying to institute that new system. Adriana, and that computer to your right, that new one there, I can't get sound out of it. And Brad Gimbel was helping me put some new drivers on it, but I have to order a driver for that from Amazon. So after the show, we need to do that. And then over here, Sam was unable to get the right IP. But what will happen is that we will be able to broadcast from here straight to the tower, and you won't have to play music to play the ads because you'll be able to play the ads right there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now
I didn't know we were still on JED TV. I thought we were completely off, but we are. I just saw it.
Yeah, I think it's.
Which I think that might be my bad when syndicating the shows.
All right, yeah, very shortly. I mean, I don't know. Right now, there's like 18 people only watching. They're mostly watching on YouTube, but you guys are watching still there, and we will slowly push you over to YouTube, and WJOB's video will be on YouTube, and then JED TV Sports will be on our own app where we can play whatever we want, and any kind of music or whatever. But let's take a look at traffic right now. 294 has a couple of slow spots, maybe right around 55, and then maybe another one right as you get to O'Hare. But not a bad drive to O'Hare this morning. 80 going east and west out to Joliet looks fine. And then the Bishop Ford looks pretty good, but the Dan Ryan's clumpy. Starts at about 103rd Street all the way in, off and on. You got stop and go. Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65, they're all moving along pretty well. Adriana with the weather.
Currently, right now, at the Shack and Vento Studios, it is 66 degrees. Today, we are seeing highs of 80 degrees and lows of 63. Cloudy, warm, and humid, and then thunderstorm in certain areas this afternoon. Wednesday, we're looking at highs of 70 degrees, lows of 58, mostly cloudy, not as warm, with a passing shower or two. And then on Thursday, we're seeing highs of 71 degrees, lows of 54 degrees, a stray morning shower, otherwise breezy with clouds and breaks of sun.
And to basically inform Adriana and all of you, Sam and Peter are leaving this morning. They won't be back until Friday, I think. And that is, they are going to the Rally Innovation Conference. Somehow, some way, they got chosen to present at Rally Innovation, which is basically the Midwest version of Shark Tank. And I don't know, are we going to be able to watch that somewhere? I mean, they present on Wednesday. It's called Rally Innovation. And if you go, they have Sam and Peter got put on as I guess they were an alternate. If you don't even know anything about this, right? Mm-mm. Because I told those guys, I don't want to do any of this. I mean, let's just do our business. And they put an entry into this at Mont Hanley's behest. And they got chosen to present in front of 2,000 people and streamed around the world. So it's a big deal. But if you go to the sports tech thing, I don't even think they're on the agenda yet because they just got told 2 days ago. So they're kind of last-minute fill-ins, but they're going down there. And they're going to sit around with Kevin O'Leary, the guy from Shark Tank, and some of the other folks, and they're going to tell us what we should be doing with our sports network, and we'll leave it at that. A lot of stuff going on in the world. I don't even know where to start. So I'm relying on you. I think that Verley, kind of last minute-ish, Verley was not able to come in. Mm-hmm. And so I prepared absolutely nothing. And I do that on purpose. Verley, basically has topics when she comes in on Tuesdays. And I just like to be the person that just comments on the topics. Kind of like I have been lately on other people's show. I come over and sit on the couch here, and I don't have to do anything. But today I had to do something, and I'm just honest with you guys. I don't have any, whatever you guys want to talk about, there's plenty of stuff happening. 219-845-1100. We could take some of your phone calls directly. Let's do it. Hey, you're on the air.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. What's up?
You probably know this, but your standby sounding bad. I didn't hear anything for the past 20 minutes or so. But anyway.
Hold on a second. So you didn't hear anything on hold?
Barely anything, just a little pop here and there.
All right, Adriana, Chuck Pullen's going to show you how to adjust that volume. It's not easy. You got to have a little tool, but you can adjust. It's just a volume adjustment. All right. Thanks a lot for letting us know. All right, go ahead. What's on your mind?
No problem. Yeah, regarding the Jimmy Kimmel deal, I canceled. I got out. I sure did.
Why?
And that because I thought it was not right that they took him off the air for what he said. So that's why I did it. And he's coming back, but now it's kind of freeing not to be tied down, to a subscription that I barely watch, and it's a shame, it's a shame because Marvel's on there too, but I'm ready to turn my back on all of it, I mean, it's kind of freeing. I feel kind of good about it, and so we'll see where it goes, I mean, who's the snowflakes now, and using government to shut people down like that, that's not authoritative or going in a sort of that sort of way, I believe it is. It's just not a good thing, Trump was complaining the other day about percentage of people that dislike him and how they got a good story about him, and then they'll turn it bad, and he thinks it's illegal for them to basically tell the truth about him, but he says it's illegal. And I just think
is
it's
it a free speech issue?
I believe it is. I believe it is. Sure. It goes way back to the George Carlin days. Remember when he got nailed for saying the 7 words or something, and it's I don't even think it's that bad. It's just criticism, and jokes and satire and illegal. Come on, man. It's just ridiculous. I think.
Well, you
Where
get to
he's
the
taking
core of it. Adriana, are you surprised that he canceled?
No, because like a lot of people did. So that was one thing that people felt that that's how they could, in a sense, fight back, was by canceling their subscriptions and taking down a small portion of a big company.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And, a lot of the right wing, they put cute. They're good at putting cute tags and names on everything, and call it the cancel culture and everything. But I think they showed how effective it is. Going back to the civil rights days when they had the bus strikes. Hit them where it hurts. Hit them where it hurts, right in the pocketbook. And if I can save some money, and oh well, man. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, they lost like $4.1 billion. That could have made another Star Wars movie for the 12th time.
Yes, exactly. And it's absolutely ridiculous that they did that. However, another thing is that they didn't issue an apology. For what they did. And I think they should have. That's just totally kowtowing to Trump, and it's sickening, and then with him announcing, that the Tylenol is a contributing factor to autism, and do you really trust that guy that stumbles over his words and is this and that? That's the guy you're believing, about scientific medical news. Come on, man, and then also the Holman guy that got busted accepting money, and then Bondi just comes out, nope, he didn't do that. That's not true. Just because, he says so. They say so.
There are so many things going on. That kind of got lost. And it reminded me of the Buncich thing, you know what I mean? In other words, evidently, reportedly, there is tape of this Homan guy who's the head of, I don't know, what is it, Homeland Security or whatever?
I believe it is,
yeah. And there is a tape of him taking a bag of $50,000 from an undercover FBI agent. Now, I don't know, maybe it was one side was undercover and the other one was also undercover and they messed it up and whatever. There might be a very innocent explanation for it, but I'd love to hear the explanation, or if there's no charges and they're not investigating it, then they could pretty much talk about it and let us know so that we have faith in our federal government. Because I'll tell you what, I sat in the Buncich trial and the whole thing, and every day they played tape of me interviewing Buncich and what he said, and it was crazy. I didn't
That's
get
wild. That's
it
wild,
was
man.
wild.
You got part of that.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to be part of it, but it just happened. But I wanted to get my own opinion about it, and I was kind of on the fence of like, oh gosh, it's kind of ginned this whole thing up. I mean, maybe he should have reported it, but they're looking at sending him away maybe for the rest of his life. And then they showed the video. And Adriana, they had this video that showed the guy, Tim Downs, getting out of his car, walking through the sheriff's office, and they showed this whole video of him putting down a duffel bag, and then they showed the video of Buncich taking the money out of the video and putting it in his top drawer. Taking it out of the duffel bag and putting that money. And I'm like, holy moly, that video was the nail in the coffin for John Buncich.
Absolutely, And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so I was sitting there thinking, I go, I want to see this video of this guy taking $50,000. Now, maybe
Yeah.
there is an innocent explanation for it, but
What he was a double agent like Trump was?
I don't know.
Epstein?
I don't know why you would take a bag of 50 grand cash. I don't even know if there really is a video of it, and we don't know anything about it, and that's the problem. I'm like,
Right.
I literally saw in all of the reporters, the Tribune was there, and the Sun Times, and me, and the Times and the Post. I think it was 5 people there every day. And we all went out afterwards, and we're like, dude, this guy's going down because of that video.
Yep.
And we were right. And he's been, I think he got sentenced to 15 years for 15 grand. Could have been, who knows how much was the money. But once you see a guy taking it on camera, that video, taking that money, it was a sealer to the jury, too. And
Absolutely.
I want to see the video. Maybe it
But
is totally innocent. And if
but now Trump has everything as fake. Anything that's not his way is fake. You know, so he's put it out there long ago to distrust the media. So even if it is real, you know.
Yeah, but I mean that could be an explanation that it was a fake AI video. You could make an AI video making you look like anything. All right.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for the phone call. By the way,
problem.
Thank you. They had the guy that was sitting here recently. His name was Micah Beckwith. He's the lieutenant governor. And they got this story. You need to look on Indy Star that is really kind of growing, where there was evidently an AI video made of a guy's wife taking off her top on stage. And somehow a woman in the office said that, you know, the guy, Micah Beckwith, saw it and, I don't know, laughed or whatever it was. And this is all alleged on both sides. But I guess the point I'm trying to make with all that is, you know, he was here recently, and is that you can make an AI video right now to put anybody in any compromising position, including taking money in a bag, right? So I don't know how you're going to ever do what they did to Buncich with that video when who knows what video is real. It's getting better and better. I mean, think about MX putting me in his videos and his memes, and you could tell that it's a meme, right?
Yes.
But he's getting better. And there's a couple of times where it looks like it's me on the head of some, you know, overweight woman in a bikini, right? And it looks like me, dressed like that. And then he's getting better at making it so I'm moving now, and he's putting me in compromising positions. What happens? I don't even know. I mean, how do you ever bring one of those videos into court and say this is real, because you're not really going to be able to tell it's real?
Well, usually people can tell when it's an AI videos by looking at some features such as hands and or feet, because AI has not figured out yet how to make those look realistic, because it's going to look like either your fingers are way too long, they're way too short, or they're meshed into one another. And alongside with that, if it looks too perfect. So one of those things is filters are a thing of our society. If there's a video and it looks like there's a filter over it, that's usually a really good sign that it is AI, because if somebody's in a video and they have the most perfect looking skin ever, when you know that they have some imperfections on their skin, usually that's when it kind of goes into that factor of maybe it's AI. So people are able to tell by that, but you're correct that there is some fear that AI will be able to make those imperfections. They'll be able to actually make hands and feet look normal, and it's only a matter of time before they do that. And at that point, we're going to need a higher level of security clearance when looking at those things, especially, as you said, like when you're in a court of law. How would you be able to tell? Because somebody can easily, the first thing, if they don't want to be guilty, that's AI, that's fake, that's AI. When it's one of those where it's like, okay, how you can test for DNA, we need something to test for AI. It's going to get to that point.
Are you kidding me?
It's going to get to that point eventually.
Well, what are you going to use AI on your podcast network for?
Right now, the only thing we use it for is just ad insertion.
So, but eventually you'll be able to finish the show, stick the audio into it, and it will cut up the pot, it cut it up into segments. They already have that technology, right?
Yes, but it won't be able to cut out the news and traffic how we want it, because you could talk for 5 minutes beforehand and then go into your news and traffic, opposed to we just tell AI cut out the first 5 minutes. You can cut out the first 5 minutes, but if you talk about news and traffic later on, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. At that point, you're just going in, seeing where it's at. You hit 2 more buttons and you cut it right there, opposed to AI taking a little bit longer to take it out. So if it is on set that if we go, it's 8:05 right now, currently, which we probably should take a break, but it's 8:05 right now, and if we have it to where, okay, we start the show at 8 o'clock and news and traffic takes 5 minutes long, okay, cut out everything from that 5 minutes. If we had our shows like lined up like that, then okay, yeah, AI would work perfectly. But sometimes we talk about news and traffic much later on, and then you got to go find that entire thing. So it could work. It's just you would need it to be structured to work that way.
By the way, I had a couple of people that have come by here wanting podcasts, and I wrote their names down out there, and have their stuff. But all right, so I'm like everybody else, kind of following this. So you go to WJOB1230.com and you click on podcasts, right? And let's just pick one of the many here. All right, Region Republicans, right? Region Republican, Bob Starkey, blah, blah, blah. And so I go to the page, and you can go listen to it on Spotify or Apple, right? Mm-hmm. And then below it, it also has a list of all of the episodes. Where does that where does that list come from?
Apple.
It says Randy Niemeyer, August 26, 27 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So I click on Randy Niemeyer, and with Bob Starkey, Region Republican host Bob Starkey sits down with Lake County Councilman and Lake County Republican Chairman Randy Niemeyer. Okay, mm-hmm. And so now I hear an ad. Where does that ad come from?
It comes from Libsyn inserting ads for us, so we don't have to do it ourselves. We don't have to look for them. And there wouldn't be that there if we had somebody that wanted to put in an advertisement. If we had somebody come to Bob, who hosts Region Republicans, and said, hey, I want to have an ad on your podcast, either for one episode or for a couple episodes, we would just have him pre-record that and say, hey, this video is sponsored by so-and-so, explain what their product is, where they can get their product, and if there's some sort of discount code, okay. We put that in at the very beginning. It's 30 seconds long, and then we continue on with the rest. That is just to make sure that there's a little bit of monetization within the podcast, because you could do a podcast for free. Like, anybody can do a podcast. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Anybody can do a podcast. But to earn money on the podcast, advertisements have to be inserted. So yes, we may be getting only $1.30 every month for our advertisements, but it's a start to continuously to grow these podcasts.
All right, so you can watch them on YouTube, and you can listen to them on Apple and Spotify.
Yes.
All right, so I'm looking at Region Republicans, and it looks like they do it every month, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so they got Randy Niemeyer, and his is 27 minutes. Oh, here it is, one of them. Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith is on your podcast network with Bob Starkey as Region Republicans, right? And then before that, it was Indiana State Treasurer Daniel Elliott. So when I click on one of these and it's audio only, that's taking me to Apple?
Yes, if you do it through there.
Yeah, if I do it through there. Okay.
If you look it up on any other podcast platform, you're still going to get it.
All right, let's take another podcast just for the heck of it, all right? Let's go the other way. We just talked about the Republican one. Now Weezer has a podcast. He's a Democrat for a long time. So his last podcast it's called the Weezer Podcast, Wieser. Just type it in. And then his last podcast featured Mike Andrade, right?
Yes.
It says right here. Did you cut that up or did AI cut that up?
I did.
Okay. But AI could have cut it up, right? If we had Adobe AI, because I just got an email that they have a new level of AI that they're trying to sell us that will edit that podcast for us.
Yes, but the only thing with that is that there are some of our podcasters that are very particular in what they want. And sometimes AI can't make that happen.
Okay. So the Weezer podcast featuring Mike Andrade is a few days ago. I click on that, and then it starts playing spots over here in the corner. Now, this is on a computer, but if I wanted to listen to it, well, here, let me see. If I wanted to listen to it on a phone, I don't even know how to stop this thing. Sorry about that. I would just go to podcasts from Apple on my phone and type in Weezer, and that'll show up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, man. I'm like you guys. I'm learning. So, all right. It's audio podcasts and video podcasts, right? So
the video's on YouTube, the audio's on
okay,
all streaming
if you guys aren't
platforms.
following this, I mean, I'm following the lead of a 21-year-old that's still in college on how to build a podcast network. Where do you want this to go?
Like the end goal for this?
Yeah, what's the vision?
The vision is that we have multitudes of podcasts talking about all kinds of things, not just political standpoints, because that's what a lot of these are. They start off as political. But I wanted to be able so that way all generations, all age groups are able to listen to podcasts, because there's so many different podcasts out there that, yes, it's easy to copy and paste, but in a sense to have people come in and do something original and something that they never thought they were able to do.
Original.
Yes. So alongside with that, and with making these podcasts and people coming in with brand new ideas that will help flourish the side of WJOB and help with radio, because that's one thing that a lot of podcasters don't have the access to is the radio. Now, yes, a lot of people will plug their phones into their car right away and they don't really listen to radio. That's becoming a new normal, so that's where podcasts come in. And essentially, I would like it to be where we have so many podcasts that it not only allows the company from a business standpoint to thrive, but also for a community standpoint for it to thrive as well. Because if you have, say, 30 podcasts just in the Northwest region, imagine what it could do on a national level.
All right, I'm looking at another original one. It says, welcome to Region Angels, a show that celebrates the people doing great things in our communities. You are hearing us either live on WJOB, here at the Strachan Van Til. Oh, so it's the transcript of the podcast. And this is...
No, that's just a description.
Oh, it's a description. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the transcript.
Who's hosting this podcast?
Gloria Morris.
So this is Gloria Morris's podcast. Mm-hmm. And she has each week then she has somebody from the region that she interviews, right? Or it doesn't have to be from
it could
the
be
region.
anybody, yeah.
So Gloria Morris works for Google,
Mm-hmm.
right? So has she been able to get any tech peoples yet, or is she kind of staying local so far?
Oh, I do not know. I don't produce on Fridays.
So somebody else produces it. So
Yeah.
you've delegated it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we don't have podcasts on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which are the usual days, because the people who do podcasts usually start off with you, and then if they want, they venture off on their own. But if not, they keep you, such as Weezer, Limwalkers, and Mastering Local Marketing. We have a little routine here on Thursdays that we do, which is those 3 podcasts. But if for some reason that the podcasters have to do it on a Monday or Wednesday, I let the other producers know, or on a Friday, let them know, hey, you guys are going to have a podcast on this day. It's nothing out of the ordinary unless there is something that is needed, such as, hey, they play a clip at this certain time, or they have certain intro music, such as Limb Walkers, the music that you absolutely hate.
All right, well, I'm learning just like you guys. Let's take a short break. And you know what? I'll go a little bonus round here because I'm the person hanging around. Peter and Sam are headed to Indianapolis, and they'll be gone all week. So if you need something done in the NCC or the PCC network or anything to do with JED TV Sports, I'm your person. Anything to do with WJOB this week, you would contact Adriana at WJOB1230.com, especially if you want your own podcast. It's two N's in Adriana. If you send it to me, it probably gets lost. Just like the pieces of paper where I wrote, there's, I think, a group of judges that want to do a podcast.
I sent an email, but I think I probably have to call them.
Yeah, got to get a hold of them. And anybody else, I mean, this is the future. Adriana's making it happen. All right, we'll be right back on the Voice and Face of the Region. AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Just type in WJOB 1230 and you'll find us. There's actually an old channel, and make sure you get the right one. That's WJOB 1230, and people are they're getting the old one. 294 around the city is about normal. There's a little bit of slowness at I-55, which is about halfway up to O'Hare, and that should give you about a 2 to 3 minute slowdown, but it's not too bad. 80 going east and west out to Joliet looks pretty good. Bishop Ford's is good today, not a lot even on top of the Steel Bridge, but once you hit the Dan Ryan, it's pretty heavy. Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65, they're all moved along pretty well. In terms of weather, Adriana Alvarez.
Currently, right now, at the Shack and Van Til Studios, we got a microwave going in the background.
Sorry about that.
Because I hear the clink. It is 68 degrees today. We're seeing highs of 80 degrees, lows of 63. We're going to see some cloudy, humid weather and some thunderstorms later on this afternoon. Moving forward into the rest of the week, Wednesday, we're seeing highs of 70 degrees, lows of 58, a shower or two. Not as warm, some clouds and showers around in the nighttime. And then Thursday, we're seeing highs of 71 degrees, lows of 54 degrees, morning shower and breezy. And then throughout the rest of the week, we're just seeing those 70 and 80 degree weather, no rain in sight. So that's pretty good.
Once again, tomorrow we'll give Dabberton the time that you would be able to watch Sam Michael on the Midwest version of Shark Tank.
We're able to see it?
I'm guessing someone told me you could watch it. And Sam's going to present in front of a couple thousand people. Kevin O'Leary, the guy from Shark Tank, is going to be there. And I don't know how we got involved with this. I didn't want to get involved in it, but Sam is very much like Adriana, is pushing the envelope in terms of venture capital funding and in terms of the technology, and pushing it so that we can create basically a local media based on technology, I guess. Is that the vision? You tell me. I said, hey, all these people want podcasts and shows. Will you take care of it? And here's what we get. We get a whole podcast network. Is that basically, am I characterizing it correctly, that you're applying technology to local media?
Yeah, you basically just said, here's Libsyn, learn the...
One of the top 5 sports tech companies in America that's able to pitch, and they come from all over, and somehow we got accepted. And Sam and I went and had a meal yesterday over at Culver's, and he was laughing. He goes, "You told me not that you didn't want anything to do." I was asking him about it, like I'm asking you right now. And he's like, "Well, why are you asking me about this?" And I go, "Well, what do you mean? I mean, I'm the owner." And he goes, "Yeah, but you told me not to do this. You didn't want any part of it." And it's kind of like what I've told you. I don't want any part of this. Figure it out. By the way, Dave Gearman is waiting for you to call that woman who is a giant in the podcast industry, and she lives in Miller Beach, and she is willing to direct you on anything that you have questions about. So let them know, because I would like to maintain that relationship. And if you maintain that relationship with Dave from Miller, you too can park right by the beach for free. Hey, let's take a couple phone calls. 219-845-1100. Hey, you're on the air.
Jim, I think you should do this all the time. This is exactly what local radio, TV, streaming should be. You are a master at winging it. One thing I did want to mention, commercials a little too loud, and the audio, it's hard for me to hear you before I got cut in for the phone call, just so you're aware. But this is exactly what should be done. This is what draws people in. Dabberton's terrific. Kuzak's got his perspective. Chuck's got his unique thing. I just think you should just be JED, and this is terrific.
So you're not scared by the technology these young folks are bringing in?
No, because they can do the technology far better than people our age, Jim. Even though your former Munster teacher is still there, said Jim Dedelow is super bright, but the technology, like, those kids grew up with it. It's just second nature. It's a little bit of a learning curve for us folks, let's just say over 40 or 50.
I agree on that. It's a huge learning curve. I think we can kind of understand that it works and maybe manage it, but to actually put it into place. Adriana, you just heard her talk about it and how easy it was to just, all right, hey, do this, and she's done it in a few months. How long do you think it would have taken me? Don't answer it, right?
It's like the old Bozo show when they had the guy variety stuff with the sticks. He spin the plates. You got so many plates up in the air right now with sports and everything else. These people like Sam and Peter and Adriana and the young guy who's the producer for Dabberton does a wonderful job. No, it's good stuff.
Hey,
and what day was Danny Mac on?
Just have some patience there, okay? Danny Mac and I have a unique relationship. And it really just goes back to the fact that I'm a Munster guy and he's a Highland guy, and we met on the football field when we were in high school. And he was a loudmouth then, and he, it just, it didn't work out real well. And we've always kind of brushed each other. But I respect his talent, and I respect his character, and I respect his story. His life story it's kind of tragic at times, but there's so much uplifting part to it. I mean, there's death, there's addictions, there's failures, there's successes. And I think he's starting to realize that his story is part of who he is. He's tried to not tell his story, and now it's kind of bubbling out. And part of it is that I think I'm prompting him to hopefully tell his story in full.
Any chance he'll be back with you if it's in the tailgate segment like they had previously or something? I mean, because he's true region, and that's really what you're doing here.
Well, I don't want to talk for Dan, but, I think it's pretty obvious on his Facebook that he's got to spend some time with his brother who lives in Arizona. So I don't think he's in a position right now to do it, even though he'd be so amazing with all the football that's going on right now. But I think he will be in a position to do it at some time. How does that sound? Especially now that Adriana has kind of built a podcast network where he would kind of fit into it pretty easily. Sam built a sports network. Adriana built a podcast network. He can access all of that distribution and outlets, and I think he would do well with it. But let's wait till he's ready, okay?
Yeah. Hey, I think your buddies down at Curtis Creek would like to see you on the course a little bit.
You know what?
In Rensselaer.
You are correct. I have not been going to these other courses that are, I know the people at, and then I haven't been playing with the Mediocre Golf Association. I will fix that. All right, man. Thanks a lot for the phone call.
Care.
I appreciate it. Well, there you go, Adriana. I think that he's being very positive about it, but I got to tell you that there are a lot of listeners that don't want your technology, and they certainly many didn't want Sam's streaming network, and it was kind of intimidating to them. And do you feel like we're winning some of them over?
Eventually, yes, and that's just with any new product. I mean, you're not going to tell me that when cars were first invented and people were like, no, we want to keep our horses, like they weren't, like people didn't want to learn a whole new thing. When the wheel was invented, people didn't want to learn a whole new thing. Like it's change, and yes, people are not going to be comfortable with change. They like their routine. They like how they stay in their own cycle of things, and that's normal. Everybody has their routines. Like I wouldn't want to switch over to, say for instance, like how Netflix changed their user interface. For a long time, I despised it because I'm like, I don't like this. Go back to the old thing, and I didn't use Netflix for a while. And then eventually it's there to stay. You have to learn to adapt to it.
I loved it from the first day they brought it. I thought
I didn't like it at all. So for a while, I'm like, okay, I didn't use it. And after a while, I was like, okay, I have to adapt to this change because it's going to be there. Now, that is a very small little change that some individuals have to adapt to. And for localized streaming, for podcasts and all these different things coming in, it is normal for those who have listened for so many years and they now see this change happening. It's normal to have pushback. But eventually, yes, they will come around. And in a sense, you look at it as something as simple as something that's in the region opposed to something that is on a national level. So if what we have here in the region does eventually go to a national level, I can only imagine what's going to happen with that change. But we'll just have to see.
So much is going through my mind right now in that here I am, basically put two different people in charge of two different wings, and they're both young people. But originally, when we started doing all this tech, it was, I hate to say this out loud, but part of the reason that we have pushed so hard, or I have pushed so hard, is that I was once replaced by tech. Mm-hmm. I used to be a trader in a pit, writing stuff on a card, communicating with hand signals and yelling. And then all of a sudden the computer came in, and it was kind of a hybrid situation where you had some people in pits and some people on computers, but you had to integrate with them. And I didn't go fast enough, and I got pushed out. I was a dinosaur. And that was kind of the beginning of, all right, we're going to put tech on any possible thing that we do. But there is the danger of people that don't want that tech on a 102-year-old radio station. What do you say to them?
What do you mean? Like, what do I say?
I mean, literally, I get people that stop me and they're like, man, you're streaming video of high school games. I just want to listen to them on JOB. And I just want to listen to your show on JOB. I don't care about any of this other stuff. And I think it just kind of gets in the way. What would you say to someone and that will happen to you at some point?
Oh, it does all the time.
I know it does.
So in that sense, I would say we're trying to keep an old tradition alive. And to do that, we have to change. We have to adapt to newer trends, newer audiences. And to do that, we have to move forward with the times. And it's not in the sense that we're leaving we're not trying to leave other audiences behind. We're more so trying to trying to bring them along on this journey with us. And it's up to them if they want to continue on with us. We can't force them to. But if we want to keep a 102-year-old station alive, we have to move forward with newer technology. We have to move forward with newer ideas, newer topics, because if we don't, then just like how you said, we're going to get replaced by something else.
She's Adriana Alvarez. We get any phone calls?
We have one. Oh,
right.
nope, we got two.
All right, let's take some phone calls. I'm going a little bonus here. And just because Damian Rico and Hospice, they will reschedule, right?
Yes, I told them to let me know when they want to.
Yeah, so Verley couldn't make it. Damian couldn't make it. And if you ask me, I think what's happened, I don't know about, but there's a bug going around and a lot of people got it. But anyways, go ahead. Hey, what do you want? What's going on in your world?
Oh God, who knows? It's just getting started today. You don't know. You don't want to know what's going on in my world. It's all good though. Brad's
listen,
happy.
We want to thank you for the computer and all of the technology that you've helped us with.
Sure.
But you sent me a thing, and I'm going to give my phone to Adriana about like 5 different sound cards to buy. All you got to do is tell her to order this, and she will order it after the show. So I will have her contact you directly. I'm not going to go through that and read all that. You can tell her what to order, and she will order it, okay?
Perfect. Just have her text me. That's why I called in, just to make sure before I started my day that all made sense and you guys were on your way.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Gimbel, people don't realize, like Chuck Pullen is another one. We've got a number of aces in the hole. We might even call Sonny if we have a problem with something. And there's a lot of people that basically donate their time and their expertise to help us along. And this guy that's on the phone right now is one of them. Hey, man, there's a lot in the news. What do you want to hit?
Oh, gosh, I guess the truth. Or, no, actually, I don't want to hear the truth. I want to hear people arguing about what they see and interpret in media. I want them debating on what the real story is. I mean, one of the craziest things that I keep hearing, and it just is nonstop, is that Charlie Kirk and George Floyd have the same birthday. And it being on the same birthday, are we going to have some kind of upheaval because no one's going to know who to honor? And you see how that worked out? It's just too weird, isn't it? I can't take it. So I guess that's what I want. I want a forever debate to go on, and that's my because that keeps conversation going, and eventually you get to an answer. And I don't think that any unity is going to happen in this country until we break those barriers down and literally quit whining about every little bit of everything that we want to identify ourselves with. That's ego. And that's why we have to stand back and say, that's fine. You want to identify yourself in this group, and you want to put yourself in that group, and you want to keep shunning yourself into little groups and keep on holding on to that. There's no unity in that. There's no team player in that. And that's how people that are, unfortunately, and I can't define who they are, but everyone knows who they are, or at least in some aspect or another, that are taking advantage of people that have huge hearts. And that's why people divide themselves in the groups, because they have huge hearts and they have a drive for their cause. And my cause is to continue communication. And that's why I came in and brought the computer. That's why I always, check in and make sure you guys are doing okay and lend a hand. Because I'm telling you, you got something unique here. And I know you guys come in every day and you dread it possibly and all that. But, man, it's like no other place in the country that you can call in. There may be only 1 or 2 other stations that are doing it. But you guys are always just trying to get ahead. You know what I mean? So you can't not support that.
I want to address something. And
sure.
Adriana's here listening and kind of tapping her finger on her cheekbone there. So I don't know if she caught up on this too, but you want debate and communication to continue and to be a part of what we do. And certainly we've been trying to do it for 102 years here. But is that really what people in America want right now? I mean, how many places are there real debate of the issues? In my mind, it seems like maybe after the show today, everybody's going to go to their various corners and not really face front with each other and have meaningful, respectful debate. I just don't, I just say at times debate, I mean, in my own head, I'm not sure that that's what people want in America.
Well, are you asking me or Adrian?
I'm asking you, and then we'll let her comment on it.
Right. I think they do want debate because I think the ultimate goal with anybody is to get them to hear their side of it and at least agree a little bit, or at least come to terms where they can understand it. And if you silence debate, no matter, at least for me, no matter how hardcore it can get, or, I mean, people get their feelings hurt, et cetera, no matter what happens, if you don't keep that debate going, you never get to the end of a conversation, or you never bring up things that you might not think you may agree with or you may disagree with. And I think that has to stay open, because the ultimate goal is to silence everyone and create an all-encompassing authority. And that is where I think that when you have that all-encompassing authority, that's when you're in the real danger zone. Because opinions matter.
Hold on. Let Adriana comment on that.
Sure.
Well, for debate, correct me if I'm wrong, debate is supposed to be, here is my side, here is your side, let's come to a middle ground. Is that what debate is supposed to be?
For the most part, yeah. Everybody tries.
And yeah, so that's what we attempt to do. But right now, in the current society, in our current world, it is whoever chooses to debate, they go, my side is the only side that is correct. I have nothing wanting to do with your side. Your side is the enemy to my side, so I want nothing to do with it. My side is the only one that's correct, so that's what we're going to go forward with. That's what debate looks like, to me at least, in today's society. And it doesn't have that aspect of, okay, yes, I understand that you may not agree with my side, but I still hear you. I still hear what you are saying, and I want to come to a middle ground so that way we are able to agree even if we have differences. So I don't think that we have that anymore. I think it is more so one side to their side, one side to the other, and there's not going to be a fair middle ground. And some people may say, well, that's how it should be, and others probably will say that we've lost all sense of what a normal debate should be.
I can absolutely hear you on that, and understand where you're coming from. I personally take the high road of being the middle ground guy that's reporting what everybody's talking about, and I won't really take a side. So I guess that's how I try to make sure it happens, because I don't believe either side, and I believe both sides are completely and utterly, at least when you're talking politically, they're completely and utterly manipulated by propaganda through legal laws that are in place that let it happen. And until we identify who's actually controlling and creating the information, we're toast. So either side is going to be arguing about semantics that are being portrayed in media that you don't know is actually the truth or not. And when you figure out, like myself, that they are all working together against everybody, my only choice to continue what I'm doing is to make sure that everybody's heard, everybody gets their side out, but we have to meet on something in the middle. Like, there has to be one thing you got to agree on. And I think we can all agree on the fact that we don't like to be manipulated by anyone in the media at this point. And I think we can all agree on our government is definitely suspect of manipulating us. So I just think that if you have a middle ground guy like myself that doesn't care and doesn't get his feelings hurt, he's the only kind of guy that can mitigate this. It's like a true lawyer, you know what I mean, or a true mitigator, where you have to hear both sides, and you really got to work this to bring people together. Because if you keep people divided, that's exactly what they want. That's exactly how the people that got the money in this world that take advantage, they pull at our heartstrings. And I just think that I do believe people want, like you say, want to yell back and forth at each other. But there's always got to be the people that come together to remind them that you actually love one another. You have a great deal in common with that person that you think voted for a different party. I guarantee you all want the same thing. You all want your roof to not leak. You all want to be able to afford a house. You all want to be able to have either a family or no family, or support people, or have pets or no pets or anything. We all want this same thing, but we get caught up in semantics on the little things, and that's how they basically hurt our feelings on a constant basis. And if we don't snap out of this, I don't know if we're ever going to get past it, but it's things like the podcast network. It's calls that come in today. It's the medium that someone gets a chance to talk on it. I know I get really riled up with people, and that's my whole goal, is to really just rock you. Because I kind of got to wake you out of what's going on in the sleep. I've been in this tech industry for so long. I've watched an evolution of it come and go, and the greatest stuff was invented in the 90s, and then it came better and involved in the 2000s. And this technology we have now will evolve into something else. So there will always be the latest tech. But will we take that tech and take true advantage of it to connect with each other, or are we going to continue to divide ourselves in little groups? And that, to me, is where we're really at a bad crossroads right here. And if there was ever a time in history, in my opinion, like ever, it's right now to try and get back together as one, because, my gosh, they've got us so divided, and they've had us divided so long. But we now have the technology to verify some things and to really get to the bottom of it. And if we can just come together a little bit, and I really truly believe what's going to make us come together is a possible collapse of the monetary system or a complete retooling of it. And that's right around the corner, folks. It's happening as I'm speaking, and I think I've been calling for years about it.
You have been.
That's the one.
All right, man. You got a lot out there. I very much appreciate it, listening to both
Trying to get us to the end of the hour.
Hey, man, thanks a lot.
You got it.
He said something in there, Adriana, about people getting their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
I think that's a factor that, sometimes we don't really talk about. Somehow, I don't know what happened, but I tend to I don't even go out in public anymore and give speeches or anything. And, I tend to only hang around with people like my buddy Billy or some of these other idiots you see come through here, because they don't get their feelings hurt. So many people you're pretty good. You've had to endure a few comments here, and you're able to kind of figure out what they are. But a lot of people are just so sensitive. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what to do with that, because we have to talk about death. We have to talk about, sexual assault. We have to talk about, immigration problems. And these things are ugly, and sometimes things are going to be said that can be hurtful to groups. And then groups are just so sensitive that it just blows up. I think that's a factor in all that's going on. Anyways, let's just take a last couple phone calls, and we'll call it a day. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Morning, Jed.
How you doing?
It is. I know you've probably heard it on and off air. When you're listening, it kind of sounds like you have phone Tourette's. It cuts in and cuts out. I was going to send you a quick message, change your batteries or something, because sometimes it runs out, and you got to, wait a minute, I got to change it back. It's really, really cutting in and out. The volume I could deal with, but I know you're getting a new box and everything, and that's all going to be plugged in, but but the radio, just listening through from the radio, it's perfect, loud and clear. Adriana sounds great. So do you. But man, when I listen to the radio, when I have it through my phone, it's a challenge.
All right, and Adriana's going to fix that. So when you make that complaint or that
it's an observation.
That goes to her, and then she's got to tell Joe Cimino or Lineth to fix it. And what all that means is that whoever is in charge of fixing that calls Chuck Pullen, and he tells us how to fix it.
Yeah.
So it's all circular, okay? And she's texting him right now, I think. All right.
Yeah, it's literally yes. Yeah. You got, it's all over the place. But you sound great now, because it's we're connected to the line. So
hey, by the way, I wrote a Substack little piece about Miller Beach being the best beach in America.
it's a good beach. It's in the top 10. I know that.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
that's a good thing.
I had just an amazing time out there over the weekend with the grandkids, and I've been out a number of times at Miller Beach this year. The water's amazing, and the dunes are perfect. The erosion is kind of pulled back, and there's really long beaches now. It's a lot of room to play volleyball, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. It's not like a California 30-mile long beach, right? It's a few miles long, but it's coming along. And we have, as you saw, we have our new safety stations in that I was a little bit a part of, moving the poles and putting some new equipment out there for the safety stations. So that was which we got a grant to get those.
And
that was a non-funded mandate.
There's no lifeguards on the private areas, but it is nice to see that the Gary police were up and down a little too fast on their all-terrain vehicles. And if
I agree.
There was one, I was glad to see him. Hey, how you doing? I think I knew the one guy. And then, but if there was any suggestions to them is perhaps not drive that fast along the beach. But anyways.
Police and fire are constantly on it. And, of course, during the summer, it's Gary Fire, Gary Police, and Lake County that monitor the beach, which we thank them for their presence. And if you notice walking down the path where I live, it's much wider and much flatter. So there's 12 entry points to the beach, right? And they pick 7 of them to widen them for safety and security entry and egress. So we were lucky enough that the street I live on that they widened and leveled out that path, as I'm sure you appreciate.
I noticed that, and I wondered why it was, because it used to be where, like, I'd put everything at the bottom of this kind of a big hill you had to walk up and walk down, and it was really narrow, and I wasn't able to I wasn't even able to pull the wagon, so I didn't bring the wagon.
Right.
Yeah,
it was a struggle.
Yeah, it was a struggle because it wasn't made for that. And now they basically made it like a big wide enough for an ambulance or something to get down there.
Yep, exactly right. Yeah.
So, and they cut down the big hill a little bit. And my wife's like, "Oh, we should have brought the wagon." Yes, because I'm like a pack mule with all this stuff hanging over me, and it is so much easier to put on one of the wagons.
Yeah, so it's just so you know, it just wasn't a one-off. They're going to monitor. They're going to kind of constantly maintenance those 7 entry and egress points throughout the year. So I think they're going to hit it one more time and level it out, and then Mother Nature wants to take it back. So that's just the way the dunes are. That's the way they've been for a million years. So they shift around a lot. But a couple things I wanted to hit. One, I always appreciate Brad keeping us up to date on what Congress is doing with our money in the future. And he said something very, very poignant that we need to start paying attention, and both sides are almost identical and they're against us to a certain extent. But I think things, and his optimism is good and where it should be, and pretty much where I'm at. But things are so polarized today. For him to say anything about this administration, there's hundreds of people that are rolling their eyes, but there's 100 people on the other side, cheering. So till we can get this polarization out of the way, I just see us being completely stagnant. MX, my friend MX, made the comment, why did Congressman Mervan sign that? Wasn't a petition, but it was, you can think of it better than me, for Charlie Kirk, right? And I didn't know who Charlie Kirk, didn't even know he existed till he was brutally murdered. I had no idea who Charlie Kirk was, and now his wife doesn't have a husband and his 2 baby children don't have a father. So the tragedy way outweighs the political rhetoric. When I first tuned in, you were talking about autism, and with this acetaminophen, I don't know if you know, I have 2 grandboys, and one of them had severe autism, the elder, and my daughter was, I mean, this is the best mother I've ever seen. She didn't take anything. She actually made all of their baby food from scratch because she didn't want any additives or preservatives or anything in it. And he was my eldest grandson. He's 7 now. He was nonverbal till 4. So to make these type of comments, I mean, it's non-scientific. Acetaminophen. What we have our the guy running the CDC actually said he was a better student when he was on heroin in high school. And this is a guy making a decision about our families and our children and our grandchildren. I'm going to say no thanks. And then everyone's just kind of parroting. So if you want to live your life that way and just surround yourself with yes people and like-minded people, sure. But I just don't get that. And it was when I read it yesterday, I just couldn't believe it that they would go to that extreme they're going to start putting warning labels on Tylenol and all acetaminophen that it causes autism. It's very, obviously, it's very sensitive to me having a grandson with autism. So I think it's dangerous and it's careless. And to come out at this short time and say that one particular over-the-counter drug has the propensity to cause autism, I'm just going to push back on that one. It's just very sensitive to me. And I appreciate you mentioning our friend that is a superstar rock star in the podcasting industry. And give you props. I mean, yeah, Jed, sometimes you are really slow, right? When you start talking about the 1970 Roosevelt team, dude, I got to turn the station, but you're passionate about it, and I understand that. But your programming does affect fast-paced people, and that's what the podcasting is. You can listen to a podcast at your leisure when it's convenient for you. If you have a hectic life, you can listen to a podcast. So you do both, which is kind of cool. Some days, I wish you speed up a little bit. Yeah, I remember when you used to bowl and come in and work the next day. It was something. So thanks. I know I'm being long-winded.
Well,
I remember the bowling days. They were hilarious.
I think you're right. I mean, I just like to go at the pace at which I want every host to be genuine, and this is how I go about life. I'm not doing anything different. Verly, man, everything's got to go move.
Yeah, and that's what the podcast's for.
She likes that pace. Chuck Pullen, move. You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, man, you got to move all day. When you're with me, let's just take it easy. Let's digest things. Let's figure out what's going on, and let's be open about what we're doing. And it doesn't translate into Adriana's podcast world.
I mean, Adriana
thanks a
was.
lot. Hey, do you have more?
We got 2 more callers.
All right, you're going to take them, okay? Because I need to walk down the hall. I've been sitting here with 3 cups of coffee in me. And you're on the air with Adriana. I will return in just a moment, okay? Thanks a lot. Take it. There you go.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. Political discourse. The reason what I see is why so many people are the way they are. They tie their whole identity to a certain person, and it spirals from there. And back in the day, I don't know anybody, and a lot of people don't do it still, that tie their identity to a political person. Also, too many people only listen to one source. They turn on one source, they get their talking points, and then they just keep wash, rinse, and repeat all day, and that's all they'll tell you. And a lot of them probably don't know why Tucker Carlson went away, and that's the problem too, because that's similar to the Jimmy Kimmel problem. He finally, it came down and it came out through the courts that he was propagating lies Fox had to pay almost $900 million, and quietly he went away, and you will never hear that on AON, Newsmax, or Fox. So there are a lot of people to this day that don't know what happened.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. Usually, like when we write papers in for our classes, they always tell us like look for all kinds of sources, and especially when they want us to write on political viewpoints, they strongly tell us that okay, if you're going to write on something that's happening in the news right now, regardless if it's politics or not, you have to look at ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox, BBC. You got to look at all of these different things because they're all going to have the same story, but in different variations. So,
or they won't, right, exactly, or they won't carry them at all. Like I said, there are a lot of people that I spoke to that only listened to certain news outlets. Mm-hmm. They had no idea why. They just thought that Tucker's he didn't renew his contract. Well, there was way more to it than that.
I'm like, usually they tell you, hey, TikTok, your contract's up in so many times. They're going to give you a warning, and if they don't, then I would think that the person who has the contract knows when their time is coming up for it.
Right.
And
right.
Also with that, that is one question I do have. Do you think that there are any news sources that are completely in the middle, or are they always going to veer to one side? Is there ever going to be a news source that will just give you the story without adding in their personal opinions?
Well, that's a good question, and I go up and down the dial, and we hear this drum beating that it's all left-wing liberal media, and we're overwhelmed with that. Well, just listening to all the different radio stations, and I could call them out by name, when you have Nexstar and Sinclair monopolizing pretty much the market, numbers don't lie. It's shifted way over one side. Number one. Number two, getting back to your I'm old school. I read the paper. Mm-hmm. I read the Chicago Tribune, Hammond Times, and it used to be some other papers also. But I was literally told by someone that I don't want to name names, but then you could probably figure out what their tilt was, that I need to quit reading the Tribune, which they didn't win one Pulitzer Prize, they won 28. So I'm naming a source, and they were always more conservative, but they do blend in other sources. They're not the paper that they used to be, but they're still pretty good.
Yeah. I will say, I don't remember the last time we've gotten a newspaper on our doorstep. It's been a few years.
Well, it's expensive.
Well, I'm old school.
Man, I can't imagine what you're paying for all that.
Well, I used to, back in the day, I used to deliver the Hammond Times and the Sun Journal.
I thought, newspaper costed 25 cents. Do they not anymore? Mm-hmm. It's $2, $3.
Exactly, unless you subscribe.
Oh.
All right, man. Hey, thanks a lot for your phone call.
Take care.
You got more?
Nope, that's all we got.
All right, let's call it a day. She's Adriana Alvarez. I'm Jim Dedelow, JED. I went a 3-hour thing without Verley and without having anything prepared as I purposefully come in when she's here without having anything prepared. So if it sounded at times as if I was stretching things, it's not the case. I was just letting things unfold naturally, and I didn't have Verley telling me to move it along. So
we live in a fast-paced society. That's why we're like, boom, 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 go, go, go.
All right. Hey, thank you, Adriana. You're doing a great job. I have two things. If you want to listen to any of these podcasts, just go to WJOB1230.com. You won't get them at JED TV anymore. That's a sports network. And then you will also be able to watch them on YouTube at WJOB 1230. Sam Michael is going to be presenting in front of a couple of thousand people in a Shark Tank atmosphere with some of the biggest VC people in the country. Will be there tomorrow in Indianapolis. I was I guess, kind of against this in its own way, and that we could take care of our own thing. But I'm sure that Adriana's going to be doing the same thing, wanting to get out in the world and go to conferences and present the idea. But Sam and Peter are pretty adamant they want to get down there and get the expertise and so forth. I went to TED Sports 2 weeks ago. That's what kind of my speed and what I liked. They're down there, and they will present tomorrow in the morning. They'll be one of the first presenters. There will be 25 presenters over the week of presenting there, and there's a talk in the morning with some high-level sports people, and then after that is kind of the main event of the morning tomorrow, is 5 sports tech pitches from around America, and one of them is going to be from Hammond, Indiana. It's going to be Sam Michael, and he will just tell about JED TV Sports Network and how it's going to change the world. I'm just as interested as he is as all of you are, to hear what he has to say. Adriana, hopefully you'll get us a link that you could put up for tomorrow. And
I tried to look for it, but I think it might be.
It might be a Zoom.
It might be, yeah. I have no idea. I tried looking for it, and it might be that they will put it live, like a tab for it, like 30 minutes before they go live.
So all you got to do is go to rallyinnovation.com. We're not listed because we're added in later. Yeah, we were an alternate, and somehow somebody couldn't make it, and we're going to present. So it's pretty exciting stuff, and I'm learning as much as you guys are about all this. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right. Who's going to be the producer tomorrow?
Either Matt or Lynette, one of the two.
Okay. All right, guys. Until next time, I'll see you later on The Voice and Face of the Region.